Keeping score, there we go, at 11.
Welcome back, everybody, to day 3 of the County Championship fixture here between Northamptonshire and Hampshire from Wantage Road. The current state of play is Northamptonshire are 95 for 5, currently trailing Hampshire by 387 runs. 5 first innings wickets remaining. The not-out batters overnight are Josh Cobb on 28 and vice-captain wicket-keeper Lewis McManus on 8. We've got an absolutely cracking day weather-wise here at Wantage Road. The first time this game that we've had the sunshine out, which has been good to see. Very cold, very windy over the first 2 days, but we are set fair for the rest of the day here, and we will have Mohammed Abbas bowling from the David Capel end the first time this morning. No Sam with me for the next 2 days, but I am delighted to say that I'm joined by Phil Rowe, Northamptonshire through and through.
Absolutely, yeah. Long association, yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Have you managed to watch much of the game over the last 2 days?
I was in yesterday, saw a lot of the play yesterday. So yeah, I'm kind of up to speed with where the game is and how it got to where it is as well. And obviously Northampton very much on the back foot, very clearly.
Absolutely right. And have any bits that you kind of picked out from your time in the ground yesterday that kind of pleased you as a Northamptonshire fan? Anything to kind of look forward to with the way that the guys bowled, batted?
I think it's an opportunity for us to show some resolve with the bat, particularly Cobby, who is holding his place in the Red Bull team. He probably feels the pinch a wee bit. He hasn't scored so far, and his natural game, as we know well, is to very much attack and take the challenge to the bowler. It's a heck of a good seam bowling attack Hampshire have on a wicket, which I think will continue to offer a little bit of movement. I'm really pleased to see the sun shining and a fairly high cloud, so that will limit the amount of movement that's available. But it's a great opportunity for Cobby to get stuck in and post a good number.
As Mohammed Abbas comes in to Josh Cobb, defends nicely into the offside. I will apologise. Lewis McManus has retired not out overnight. He did get that blow on the finger, didn't he, yesterday from James Fuller, I think, which required a little bit of treatment on the field. But he has retired injured, not out overnight, and Gareth Berg is in fact joining Josh Cobb in the middle for the start of day 3. So apologies for getting that one wrong.
Let's hope that's not too serious. He's had a hand problem recently, Lewis. So let's hope that's not too bad.
Defended once more. It's a tough. Those fingers and hands for wicket keepers. It's a tough employment, isn't it, for those digits that they have? Very
tough. And Northampton is a ground where the ball moves around after passing the bat. You know, it wobbles, as keepers will tell you, and can make you look quite daft. It can also be very painful. You feel it's going into the middle of the gloves, and then last minute it moves and it catches you where it shouldn't do, where the glove's not got as much padding. And you know, as luck would have it, it's clearly with the bat as well. He's clearly picked one up yesterday. It's bad luck for the young lad. He's a fine cricketer, Lewis.
Left alone this time. Yeah, a lot of people have been very complimentary about not only him as a sportsman, but also him as a guy as well. Someone that the lads that we've spoken to on the live stream over the last game and a half have been really complimentary about him as a person.
Yeah, he joined the club after I'd left, but I did bump into him at a social function, had 20 minutes with him. He really impressed me. I thought I'm in the presence of an experienced cricketer, just the way he spoke about the game, his passion, his knowledge of the club already. And on the field, he is a leader, so a great signing. Well played.
Yeah, left well alone from Josh Cobb. Did you obviously you watched his innings yesterday evening, a bit of a positive approach to a pretty sticky situation that Northamptonshire found themselves in, having lost those 3 wickets in the space of about 10 minutes, wasn't it? I think.
I didn't catch it down.
Okay,
unfortunately,
sorry,
unfortunately, apologies. I was hosting back at home at the time. But I think what you're telling me is he played quite positively, and that's important. You've got to play in the way that you feel comfortable without being reckless, and that'll be interesting to see how Josh applies that this morning.
And the first runs on the board as Josh Cobb's come back for a couple of byes. Gets the scoreboard moving on day 3, which is nice to see. And Mohammed Abbas completes his first over of the day. Looks like we will have South African Kyle Abbott bowling from the Lynn Wilson centre ends.
So on that, Dan, with the way Lewis looked to play last night, so I didn't see it, but it sounds like he tried to play positively. And it's an old David Ripleyism, which is positive in attack, positive in defence. If you are a player that wants to strike the ball, you are making a positive move into the ball. If you're then in a situation in a game where you need to just bat time, and you and you don't make that positive move, then you're in a poor position to play defensively as well, because that's not your natural movement. So positive doesn't mean attacking, it just means that you're moving positively, and then you can decelerate the bat. Something that I spoke to Cobby about many times over the years is the ability to decelerate the bat, and I've seen that already this morning. So positive stride forward, yes, he could take that on, he might have to lift it aerially, but he's just decelerated the bat, taken the pace out of the ball, and that's the way that you need to play. Positive intent, and then cover up when you need to from a strong position.
And Gareth Berg leaves his first ball of the morning well alone. No, thank you for that, Phil. For those that have tuned in, and maybe I'm sure plenty of people tuning into this do know exactly who Phil is, but obviously former assistant coach here at Northamptonshire. Can we have a little bit of a chat about what your role was at the club, so that people get a little bit of a flavour as to who they're going to be listening to for the next couple of days? Yeah,
sure. If anyone wants to get some sleep, this is probably the time to do so.
Not at all, not at all. And that is up-ish, but that is going to be 4 runs. Gareth Berg picks up 4 aerially through the covers, and that brings up 100 runs for Northamptonshire.
Yeah, so I was a volunteer coach, coaching through the age groups and a little bit into the academy. I was still working full-time, so-called full-time at the time. I was finding myself around cricket grounds here, there and everywhere, running some junior teams for Northants for a number of years. And then an opportunity arose for the club to offer me a position in the recreational side, where I joined with Kevin Innes, who's still here, and David Ripley, who's still around as well. So we were basically the recreational coaching team at that time. And from there, well played.
It's going to be another 4 for Gareth Berg. 2 from 2.
Just comment on that one, if I may, because I said well played. Hampshire followers might think, well, he's just edged that, and I think we're both right. Yes, he did edge it, but the ball went immediately down, and it went down because the front knee was bent, the weight was over the front knee, and his hands were in front of the blade of the bat. If you do that, generally the ball goes down. And that's good technique. Something I used to talk to the academy lads about was, you earn that. That gets you an average of maybe 35, which gets you a career. If you go hard at the ball with the blade in front of the bat and your weight is back, you nick it, it carries. That gets you an average of 20, and you're out of the game quite quickly. So good technique really does count. Well played.
Short ball this time from Kyle Abbott, which evades Ben Brown.
That's the wobble there, Dan, that mentioned earlier.
He's had a tough start to the morning, Ben Brown, hasn't he? That's 4 byes now that's been conceded by the Hampshire wicketkeeper, which I'm sure he's not going to be particularly thrilled with. I'm sure he won't be looking back at the scorecard at the end of the day thinking, oh, blimey, I wish I didn't have those against my name. But no, it's been a tough start. Kyle Abbott and Gareth Berg having a friendly catch-up in the middle there.
That was interesting, wasn't it? I'd love to know what was said there. And interestingly, Josh Cobb decided to wander down to oversee proceedings. So something has happened. It's not necessarily aggressive. It could be humorous. But it was interesting.
It was, wasn't it?
Following a bouncer, yeah.
Both South African born, aren't they? Both Kyle Abbott and Gareth Berg. So
very much so.
Maybe they used to be neighbours.
Let's say that.
Yeah. And a play and miss this time by Gareth Berg. Kyle Abbott beats the bat.
Yeah, so I started, as I say, in the recreational team alongside Rips and Kevin, and kind of worked hard, got through the coaching grades, got involved more in the professional side of things. Was sort of an assistant in the academy when David Ripley took that over from David Capel, as David Capel went up the line to replace Kepler Vessels, and kind of nudged along from there really, and ended up in an incredible position for myself, which was the assistant coach for 7 or 8 years, which was wonderful, and loved my time. Well played.
Solid defence by Gareth Berg. No, thank you for sharing, and I hope that kind of provides some insight as to who it is that a lot of people are listening to today, which is going to be great. There are ways and means of getting in contact on this live stream, which is powered by Daffabet here on the Northants YouTube channel. You can drop us a tweet at NorthantsCCC. You can drop us an email at stream@nccc.co.uk. So any cricket-related questions, any other questions that you might want to direct towards the former assistant coach here at Northamptonshire, today and tomorrow are your opportunities to do so.
Yeah, make them very easy. That would be great.
Well, we specialise in these. Mohammed Abbas. Bit of movement off the seam that time into the body of Josh Cobb. He turns that one into the leg side and picks up a couple. So I guess as your role, as you say, through the pathway is almost a progressive career path here at Northamptonshire. A lot of the guys that we're going to be watching, you probably know quite well as well, I imagine.
Yeah, I would say so. I think just had a quick recce before the start of play. I think there's 7 of the guys that that I've done some work with over the years who are in this game.
Left alone this time, so we can get a bit of insight into the lads.
I can now that I don't have to be so polite about them, I can give you the inside track. Tell you what
Perfect.
they're really like. What these lovely lads are really like. And actually, let me just cover that one. Most of them are really lovely lads, to be honest. So there's not too much downside on.
But there's a bit of goss in there somewhere that you
probably.
might. Yeah,
yeah, probably.
We won't extract it out of you.
I think Emilio's coming up later, so that'll be fun.
He's good fun, isn't he? He's a really good guy.
A good guy.
Played aggressively to point this time. So we spoke obviously a bit about Josh Cobb and the positive mindset that we as Northants fans would like to see him apply to this innings and this game against Hampshire. Again, a guy I suspect you probably work quite closely with over.
Yeah, I know
over
Josh.
years.
Josh very well. Yeah. He'll be loving this opportunity, actually. Because what he's got to do is out of his character, isn't it? He's got to bat a long time, absorb a lot of balls, get some overs into the ball. It's still it's 40 overs old now. Yeah. But he's got time to get in against this ball and then capitalise as it gets older. Generally, the red ball gets easier to score with after about 35, 40 overs, up until when they'll definitely replace it at 80. So he's got an opportunity here, and he will love that. Josh Cobb, people won't realise this, is an absolute cricket badger.
Is he?
Absolutely massive lover of the game.
Mohammed Abbas to Josh Cobb. And defended this time into the offside. Change of field there, wasn't there? Deep squares just gone out towards what has been described on this live stream as the groundsman's maisonette in the far side of the...
Oh, yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Adding a bit of panache to the groundsman.
Like that. Who came up with that?
That was Sam. No, I can't claim any responsibility for that.
It?
And I think Sam is going to be tuning in over the next 2 days as well, so he might not give me a lift next week if I start stealing his thunder.
Well, that's the man's gone back at square leg to put bouncer into Cobby's head. That's what's going on there.
Half appeal from James Vincent first slip, but not much going for that one. Would it be a weapon that Mohammed Abbas would really kind of use on a day like today? I wouldn't have thought
it's
so.
Possible. It's possible, but I would say that he's put the man back. What Cobby's doing is he's batting outside his crease and he's getting a very good stride forward. So he's trying to negate the movement. Abbas is a nibbler. He's a very high quality nibbler. Let's make that clear. He's a fantastic bowler. He nibbles the ball either way off the seam and doesn't really go away from that danger area that most bowlers try to hit. He's very skillful. But he's put the man back to say to Cobby, there might be a bouncer coming here. Yeah. Just so he's just slightly short of that area and dominating the ball on the front foot. So it's a bit of a game within a game there. And he, lo and behold, he didn't bowl a bouncer. He may choose to bowl one just to say, look, there might be another one coming at some point. Well, that's well bowled.
Squared up slightly, Gareth Berg there, but has played that strongly down to backward point and picks up a couple of runs. We saw it yesterday, Mohammed Abbas, particularly to Hassan Azad, who was quite proactive in using his feet towards his fellow countrymen. And it did take me a little bit by surprise to see Mohamed Abbas go quite so short to Hassan, but I think Hassan was coming a long way down the crease to Mohamed at that point.
And that's a game within a game there. Those two will have played a lot of cricket together at Leicestershire.
Sure.
And they will know their strengths and weaknesses. And Az is probably saying, I'm not going to let you bowl at me.
Oh, good leave by Gareth Berg this time. And a theatrical response from Kyle Abbott as he turns and gets his way back to his mark.
Be interesting to see how close that was. My gut feel is nowhere near.
Fourth stump, maybe?
Yeah, at most, yeah.
Yeah.
But he has been looking to pitch the ball and take it away from the right-hander, and that one he's run back in. And he's making absolutely sure that Gareth Berg knows that he's got that one up his sleeve.
Could be a really, really fun battle between Kyle Abbott and Gareth Berg from what we've seen from these 8 balls so far this morning.
I'd like to see it for the rest of the morning, Dan. That would be great. Yeah, Bergie can bat.
Yeah.
He often finds himself batting at sort of number 8 and running out of partners a little bit at Northants. And you know, he therefore loses the opportunity to get those big numbers that he might get, and he sometimes plays a little bit more freely in recognition that someone at the other end is going to get out. So again, this is a great opportunity for him, promoted up to 7 effectively because of Lewis being absent injured. So it's a great opportunity for him to actually get stuck in and get a very big number against his old side.
Yeah, I wonder whether Kyle Abbott and Gareth Berg would have crossed paths at Hampshire.
I would say most
Probably
likely.
would have been teammates, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Just a quick apology that we've got a little bit of a camera flicker that is being resolved at the moment from the Lynn Wilson Centre end. So we'll get that back to you on this stream as quick as we possibly can. If there are any quality issues, there is a gear icon on the YouTube live stream that you can click on. Defended this time, which allows you to change the resolution of your screen that you're watching it on. So YouTube doesn't always give you the highest quality from the get-go. You sometimes have to go in and select that. So, and then you'll get these lovely images that Phil and I have got coming to our TV screen in front of us here.
Every day is a school day. No, that's something else I've learned.
Hey, we're here to help.
Well, long may this weather continue for us.
It's been pretty tough up here at Northampton for the first game and a half, isn't it? I felt like I've been going on holiday to the North Pole, I think.
Yeah, it does get chilly. Yeah, it certainly does.
Incredibly windy the last 2 days, and we're really lucky to be in this commentary box, because all the while it's about 5 degrees outside, it's about 30 in here.
It is quite warm, isn't it?
It's nice.
Yeah.
Until you step outside for the first time and you think, oh my word, those poor blokes have been out there in this all day. We do have, I think, the Northants super fan in Wendell Pemberton in. Slightly smaller flag today.
Wendell gave me some stick on the way in, actually.
He didn't, did he?
Well, he did. He calls me coach still. Coach, you didn't say good morning to me the other day. I didn't see him, so I'm sorry.
How did you not see him?
I don't know.
He's about 7 foot tall.
It was early, Dan. Lack of coffee.
Avasta Cobb played strongly down to mid-off. Do you think, what do you reckon the mindset's going to be here from Northants going into day 3? I mean, I said at the start of the day, there's an awful lot of runs behind what Hampshire put together. And these two guys in the crease at the moment, naturally positive players. Mm-hmm. Is there an opportunity here for these guys to kind of take the fight back to Hampshire and give Hampshire something to think about? They're not just going to roll over.
Yeah, I'll let me just watch this one and oh, that's well bowled. You have. I'm not a fan at all of professional batsmen saying, "Well, that's the way I play." You know,
sure.
In terms of playing rashly and getting out in a situation where it's a rearguard action, that's for me. That's not being a professional batsman. A professional batsman is, for me, is being able to play a variety of innings, the innings that's appropriate to the situation. That said, you've got to do that in the way that suits your game. So, hence me rattling on earlier about being positive in defence. You must move positively and then make a decision from there. And there's an example there. That's really nice batting from Josh Cobb. his instinct was to dominate the area that Abbas is looking to control, that kind of top of off length. He's made a good stride forward. It wasn't a drive ball, but it had a little bit of width on it, and he could just open the face and run it down into the vacant gully position for a single. But that was he was able to do that by having positive intent, because he was forward, his weight was forward, and he can then manipulate the bat face safely. If his weight is back, because he's looking to get a big drive in, tries to do that, then edge can come in and edge can carry. So really well played. And for Cobby, he can play this way. It's a matter of continuing to do it throughout an innings.
Absolutely. Inside edge this time from Gareth Berg, and no run.
So there's still a little bit of movement there, isn't there?
It was quite noticeable, I felt, yesterday. And I don't know, obviously I don't proclaim to be an expert in cricket by any shape or form, but James Fuller and Kyle Abbott strike me as taller bowlers compared to what Northants have got available to themselves in this game. And I just wondered whether the height from those two maybe extracted a little bit more sideways movement out of the pitch than what the Northants guys were able to do from a slightly lower trajectory. I don't know whether there's any logic behind that statement.
Well, there may be. Wickets behave very differently, don't they, around the place? Some suit skiddier bowlers, some suit more hit the wicket or disturb the surface sort of bowlers. What you've got to be doing is hitting the seam regularly, and those two are very, very good at that. The ball will generally bounce a little bit more if it hits the seam, and obviously then sideways movement is in play as well. So hitting the seam, for any youngsters listening, that's a good thing to practice.
Defended this time, and there's not many better around the world to watch hit the seam than Mohamed Abbas, is there? I think the other there's a tweet come in this morning from Brian, who's said, "Good morning, commentary team from Brisbane. It's been a cracking day here too, with 28 degrees. It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Not liking Brian so far.
Yeah, and a bit of a shock to see the Northamptonshire score. For those of us late to the match, what happened? Thanks. Well, Luke Proctor won the toss on day one, and based on the success and the knowledge from the Middlesex game the week before, elected to have a bowl first, which Nick Gubbins, who scored 100 for Hampshire on day one, I think in his post-day interview said it was a good toss to lose, I think, was his comment.
Yeah.
We do have a change of bowling from the Lynn Wilson Centre, and we will see James Fuller, who played an instrumental part in that crazy 10 minutes that we had yesterday. I think with the temperature and with the breeze on day one, it must have been incredibly difficult. Pulled down to mid-on. For the Northants bowlers, one to have swing through the air. I think it was a northerly breeze to go into it. And also the temperature with the wind chill could well have been around 5, if not cooler. That said, I thought they bowled pretty well on day one.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of that, Dan, but the story seems to be we just dropped our chances, and that can happen, can't it?
Yeah, of course.
I look, the rate, the run rate was. That's the first loose shot, really. The run rate was around about 3, so it looks like we controlled the rate pretty well. It hasn't got away from us. Yep. We've created as a bowling unit. You're looking to be consistent, control the rate, create chances, and I think we did that. Yep. So it's easy, isn't it, to look at the scoreboard and say, well, they've got a huge first innings, therefore it was the wrong decision. But that's too simple, really. You've got to look at what happened, what unfolded, and had we caught our chances, then actually we'd have been batting probably on day one.
Yes, absolutely. And short again from James Fuller this time. Played in front of point for 4 for Josh Cobb.
And you've got to do that. James Fuller's a very good bowler, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. That's
a poor delivery. It's short and wide. It needed hitting for 4. With positive intent, you've got to hit that for 4. You must score in this situation. Now, if he edges that and it goes to second Slibham's court, it doesn't make it a bad option. It makes it a bad execution. I feel sometimes when watching cricket, the commentators react to the outcome rather than the intent sometimes. So he's got to play positively. If he gets a poor ball, he's got to try and score off it, because that's the way he plays. And that's appropriate to the game as well. He's also got to leave well.
And tucked away into the leg side for a single. And I suppose, like from my perspective as a fan, if Josh Cobb doesn't look to play that shot off that long up from James Fuller, I'm sitting here thinking, well, we're not doing anything.
Absolutely.
The game's going nowhere.
Absolutely.
Other than we've lost 30 seconds out of the day, and ultimately the scoreboard does need to move along, doesn't it?
You've got to score off that ball, haven't you?
Yeah.
And occasionally you're going to get out to it and it looks awful. It doesn't make it a bad decision. It makes it bad execution.
Well, look at Sam Whiteman yesterday. A shot of strength down to the point boundary, so much so that there was a change of field quite early on from James Vince. Short from James Fuller this time to shut off that boundary for Sam Whiteman, and ultimately his shot of strength was his downfall.
Yeah, and that can happen, can't it?
The timing of which was awful for Northamptonshire.
Yeah.
However, you wouldn't not want him to play that shot because
Correct.
it was one that he scored a lot of runs from.
Correct. And there's a vast difference between that sort of dismissal and a reckless bit of batting.
Which we might see plenty of in the Northamptonshire cricket leagues that starts today.
It starts today, yeah. Good knowledge. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Good luck to everyone turning out today. That is an absolute beauty.
Snorting delivery from James Fuller to finish his first over of the day. Beats Gareth Berg's outside edge as we get a replay of that. A bit of shape away from... certainly after the stumps, wasn't there? Shape away and well taken
Yeah, it
from Ben Brown.
continued to go, didn't it? I mean, the only thing I'd say about that is it looks great, doesn't it? And he may have nicked it another time. Well, a couple of things about that ball is that it was probably slightly too short. It was a pretty length. So everyone goes ooh and ah, but actually the batsman, it's not one of those that you are going to definitely nick. What Gareth did well is he held his line. He didn't follow the movement. And what lower order batters sometimes do is they twitch, they see movement, they push their hands at it and they nick it. What Gareth Berg did well there was he just played the original line. Therefore, the ball goes past.
Ooh, short ball from Mohammed Abbas. He does have it in his locker.
Yeah, well, there it is. It wasn't a great bouncer, was it?
It was very short.
It was very short and too high. He won't have practiced bounce as much. He is a guy who likes to bowl spells, and the bouncer takes a lot out of him. But he's got it in early in the over, interestingly.
Yeah.
I like Cobby pulling out of it as well. Didn't have a flap at it, which was good. It's a short boundary down there, and sort of the fine leg boundary down to just by the scoreboard, and didn't have to get a lot of bat on it, but he was judicious there.
Powerfully played to cover from Josh Cobb. No, the dimensions of the ground, as you said, are quite important to take into consideration, aren't they? As you said, very short to the leg side for Josh Cobb, and therefore I suspect that short ball might start to become a little bit more interesting for a guy like Josh Cobb, who's got more than the ability to plant one over the boundary and probably into those back gardens if he wanted to.
That's a lovely cricket shot.
Yeah, and beats the fielder at mid-off.
What a beautiful cricket shot.
Is that going to go for 4?
I don't know. It's tempting.
It has.
Go on, get over there.
It has. It's just gone for 4, and Josh Cobb moves into the 40s.
On the short ball, one of the things that that young players find when they come into the first-class game is there are two areas that get targeted. One is how good are they against spin. The other one, which is more common in England, is how good are they against the short ball, against first-class bowling. Well-directed bouncers. We'll come back to that. Well played. And the easiest way, really, in some ways, to avoid getting too many short balls is to be very good at pulling and hooking. Because if someone's banging it in and you take it on and control it, they're not going to go back there too frequently. It's when people have a flap at it and it looks uncontrolled, or if they get under it and you get a dot ball out of it, where you may find you're getting more of those, particularly if you flap at it. So for young players coming through, I would encourage them to really practice hard against the short ball so that when they get into this level and face it, they're ready for it.
Defended nicely by Gareth Berg there. Because you, as part of your, obviously the assistant coach here at Northamptonshire, you were more bowling orientated than you were batting orientated.
Yeah.
And I can't speak about bowling. I think the less said about my bowling, the better. But I suspect big angry fast bowlers, they see a batter have a little bit of a hop or, as you said, a flap or a bit of an indecision. I suspect their eyes light up at that and think, "Oh, I quite like seeing that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have another go."
It's gold, yeah.
And left alone.
Because if you're flapping at the short ball, you may get away with it. You may connect with a couple, and they may go out of the ground, but you're not going to consistently hit the middle of the bat if you're just flapping with your eyes closed and off, and your weight all over the place. We've seen it done, and it's good fun. But actually, from a cricket perspective, you're going to get more of those. If you're flapping at it, you're going to get a lot more. So learn to get under it. Even better, learn to get on top of it, and play it well. Because if you have aspirations to play at this level, you are going to get tested there.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, there's not much worse to face than a well-directed bouncer from a quick bowler, I don't think.
Certainly didn't enjoy it, no. I copped a few in my time.
James Fuller to continue. And left alone by Josh Cobb, the first ball of his over. The score now 122 for 5 here at Wantage Road. So a nice start to the morning for Northamptonshire. Touch wood.
Can we find some wood?
It's just
all too modern, this room.
It's on the top of my.
It's very nice room.
My neck and shoulders is where the wood is.
I'm not going to touch that. But
no.
Yeah. Well, they've played well, haven't they? The boys have played well. There's been one kind of loose shot, I think, so far, which Bergie had a bit of a twitch at one. But other than that, we've played very nicely.
And James Fuller drifting onto Gareth Berg's pads there and tucks that one into the leg side for a single. Apologies, Josh Cobb. Gareth Berg back on strike.
And you'll see now with Bergie on strike, in come the catches. So there's two close catches coming in. There's a short leg and a sort of a leg gully, and fine leg as well. So the ball is going to be directed into the midriff, chest, head area, I would suspect. They obviously feel that Bergie's a bit weak there. It's a good carrier, good gas.
He bowled really well yesterday. I thought got the most out of this pitch out of all of those Hampshire bowlers.
He's a talented cricketer. He's been around the blocks a bit, hasn't he? James Fuller and
Gloucestershire, Middlesex, and now Hampshire.
Yeah.
I think he bowls low to mid 80s, I think, as well. And
yeah, I would say so. When he slips himself, he's handy. Yeah.
Big appeal, but I don't think there's much going for that one. Plenty of bat on that one from Gareth Berg. The slip cordon were interested. James Fuller less so.
It's a funny one, wasn't it? Because my instinct was it might have been pad, bat, pad.
Okay.
But, I'm 100 miles away, so it just had a feel about, and there was a big shout from behind, but there was certainly there was enough bat involved at some point to let the umpire decline that one, which is absolutely good news.
Yeah, James Fuller not that happy with Josh Cobb doing some gardening at the non-strikers end there.
Fuller's best stuff with bat and ball is very, very high quality. I think over the years, I don't want to be critical of an opposition player. It would be interesting to talk to him and to understand how frequently he's been at his very best, whether it be through injury or what role he's being asked to play or whatever. But he is a very, very talented cricketer. And I think some of his best performances have come since he moved to Hampshire. He's a talented lad. He won't be well known, to the average cricket watcher, but he's a very talented all-round cricketer.
And clean bowls, Gareth Berg, middle stump, cartwheels backwards, and that very talented man that we were just singing the praises of picks up the 6th wicket for Northamptonshire, 123 for 6. So Gareth Berg goes for 10.
For me, I'm just going to watch the replay, Dan, just to make sure. Okay. It ran back in.
Yeah.
Bergie is playing a very expansive drive there. His weight was not forward now. Yeah, his weight's sort of backwards there. You see his back leg come round. He's not really getting forward to that ball. And one of the reasons for that is because he's got 2 catches in on the leg side, so he's expecting a bit of a barrage.
Yep.
Fuller's bowled him 2 bouncers already in this spell. He's probably expecting another one. What that does is he gets stuck on the crease, gives Fuller a bit more margin in terms of length. He can bowl fuller, excuse the pun, he can bowl fuller of a length rather than back of a length, and that's the consequence is middle stump is cartwheeling backwards. So the short ball there, not intending necessarily to get him out with the short ball, but to keep him trapped on the crease. And it worked a treat.
You'll have pleased the Hampshire fans that play the county cricket bingo game that they've got, because Fuller by Fuller is
Yeah,
on
apologies.
their card, and we fell foul of that yesterday. So I mean, it's nice to know that it's out the way. 11:30 in the morning, tick it off, move on. Next batter for Northamptonshire is the Australian overseas Chris Tremaine, sponsored by Cinch, someone who played the night watchman role last week against Middlesex. First class 100 to his name, very experienced. Australian international as well, a few ODIs against South Africa, I believe it was, a few years ago, and someone who I think everybody around Northamptonshire will be ashamed to say it's his last game.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, he's been a good signing, hasn't he?
Really
so he's
enjoyable.
done well. Yeah, no, I've not met him, I don't know him, but I hear from the group when I check in with some of the lads and with John Sadler, who I chat to fairly regularly, that he's been a good addition to the group in terms of what he brings off the field. So a good signing, no doubt.
Yeah, I only had a chat with him after one of the days against Middlesex, and seemed like a really, really nice guy. Really grateful to have the opportunity to come and play county cricket, and had thrown himself into life here at Northamptonshire as Kyle Abbott takes over from Abbas, and Josh Cobb turns that one into the leg side. Vasconcelos gave us an insight into the dressing room during the game last week and let us know what Chris Tremaine's nickname is at Northamptonshire.
Yeah, I don't know that.
It's the cut snake. And this was applied by fellow Australian Sam Whiteman.
It's a bit clever for me, that.
We don't get many snakes in the UK, do we? So I suppose it might be slightly outside of our pay grade. But apparently, and from an Australian, I'll believe them, when you cut the head off a snake, even though obviously it's detached and not really living anymore, the body of it's still kind of wiggling around.
Still remains.
So I think the logic is he's a bit of a fighter.
Okay, oh, I see.
Scrapper.
Right. It's quite deep, isn't it?
It is quite deep, actually, yeah.
Better than Cobby.
Well, it's got layers, isn't it? It's certainly got layers. Tremors could have been another one, as you said, but yeah, cut snake.
Yeah, well, that's good. Come on, the cut snake.
Who is on strike. Defends that one nicely. I suppose his role here would be a supporting role for Josh Cobb, do you think?
Well, yeah, it was interesting when you said he's got a first class 100. I mean, that, they don't give those away well, anywhere, particularly in Australia. So he's got a bit about him. Yeah, just play. Oh, it would be, that he probably won't get a lot of advice from the coach on his way out, and the coaches need to keep out of the way sometimes. Let people go and play and make some decisions themselves. But he will just get himself in. He's there at lunch. That'll be.
Yeah.
As he wandered past me, if I was there, I'd say, "See you at lunch, cut snake."
With a pat on the back as well. And chance goes down for Hampshire. Chris Tremaine picks up 4. That's gone through the fielder at third slip down to the deep third boundary. And 4 more for Northamptonshire. That is a clear-cut chance.
It is. A couple of things about that is, number one, they are very close, and they should be. They have to be close here at Northampton. It doesn't carry extravagantly, so they are very close. He's at third slip, so he's obviously the closest of the lot. So the ball's going to come very, very quickly, and that did. And the other thing is, it was nicked from very, very straight. And at third slip, you may not expect that to get to you from. It was really straight. It was almost off stump line. So maybe if it was a bit wider, you think you're in the game a little bit more. You see the front foot go across, and you're kind of moving, ready for it. So I'll make an excuse here. He should have caught it.
Tucked off his pads. Chris Tremaine picks up just another run.
He was looking for a second run there.
He was, wasn't he? Tom Prest at third.
There was
slip.
never a second run there.
But that's a good sign.
It is a good sign.
Good sign that he wants to strike. I know I don't think he was that thrilled at the prospect of playing the night watchman role last week with the ball doing what it was doing. But I think he certainly enjoyed himself the next morning and looked quite assured of himself in the middle. Tom Prest.
He's got time to bat, hasn't he? That's
yes.
He can bat, so he's got time to bat, so make the most of it.
And half stopped. As Northants pick up another one.
Well, I've noticed Abbott is getting movement from very, very full. There's a length, isn't there? There's always a length on a wicket, and it's it doesn't vary greatly, but there's always a length. And on this pitch, it looks like you need to go very, very full to get the movement, and that's what Abbott is doing, because that's it was a drive length ball, wasn't it? But it still moved.
Yeah.
The previous ball was a drive length ball moved the other way, so Abbott getting movement both ways from a very full length. Batting isn't easy out there.
No, the one thing that we noticed yesterday as well, there was a length, as you say, that was quite full, that created a little bit of inconsistency with the bounce. I think Tom Press fell foul of that as a ball that didn't really get up. And James Fuller picks up another one. Josh Cobb's off stump this time. Goes backwards. 130 for 7. Josh Cobb looked good. Gone for 44 this morning.
Well, at first look, that looked unplayable. It looked like it pitched off and hit off. Yeah, that's straightened. It's
a cracking ball.
Yeah, it squared Cobby up. I mean, the only thing you can do about that ball, if you're playing really well, is you nick it and get caught behind.
So not many options.
I mean, to be honest, Cobby's done very little wrong there.
Yeah.
That's just an exceptional bit of bowling.
Very, very good bowling from James Fuller. As I said earlier, what I felt anyway was the pick of the bowlers from Hampshire on day 2, and has, well, for the first time, backed that up for me in the commentary box, which has been
good.
Which has been
well
nice.
Done.
Thank you.
It's a good feeling,
If you
isn't
say enough stuff, you'll get one right eventually, won't you? That's my kind of thought process. But that is his 4th wicket. Josh Cobb gone for 44.
I thought Cobby played very nicely this morning. He's got pretty much an unplayable one there. I don't know that he could have done too much about this. A perfect length at upwards of 80 miles an hour. It's pitched and straightened on him and knocked off pole back flat. Not much you can do with that. I mean, on your day, it just bounces a little bit more, just misses the off bail, and everyone says well bowled, and you crack on. But that's just good bowling. But well played, Cobby. I thought he shaped it very well there.
Yeah, Ben Sanderson, the next batter for Northamptonshire, sponsored by Wentworth Alexander, 494th player to play for this county. There has been a few deliveries that Hampshire have picked wickets up with over the course of this innings, where you've thought, blimey, that's some cracking bowling. Vasconcelos's delivery from a Bass first up yesterday, I thought, well,
I did see that, yeah.
I mean, that's come back a long way, and
yeah.
I'm not sure there's a great deal Vasconcelos did wrong. I know that sounds silly, leaving.
It doesn't sound silly at all.
And then Hassan Azad, I thought, was set up pretty wonderfully by Kyle Abbott, and again, a cracking delivery to bring that one back into the pads of Hassan Azad yesterday, and then obviously this one that we've just seen from James.
It was a beauty, wasn't it? So it looks like Lewis may not feature, Lewis McManus.
Which is a shame, isn't it? Hat-trick ball for James Fuller. Full. And Ben Sanderson up to the task, tucks that one into the leg side and picks up a couple of runs. Definitely not interested in a third, was he?
Played that beautifully, didn't he?
He did, didn't
Sando.
he? Good delivery to Ben Sanderson first up. Yorker on a hat-trick.
Yorker's a good ball, isn't it? Yeah, Yorker's a good ball. I mean, I think, was it Fuller who bowled the full toss at
yes.
Luke Proctor? So he's confident of a very full ball. But
Too full from Fuller, that one.
Oof.
It gets pretty honking over here, I can tell you.
I'm in the right place.
Yeah.
This is my kind of humour.
Full again. Sanderson up to the task, though.
When Ben first joined us, he contributed a number of times with the bat. The game down at Canterbury, I remember he batted very well, in particular down there. Hasn't kicked on really, and his average each year probably, the stats may not quite tell the story, but my feeling is that he's just declined really over the years. But he enjoys his batting. Does not enjoy the short ball.
No, that one looked quite awkward. Fortunately for Ben Sanderson, wasn't the most well-directed bouncer from James Fuller. I can't remember, was it Darren Goff, I think, was quite vocal on a Sky Sports piece, wasn't he, about batting, and he felt he was a better batter than batting at the number that he was for England. But mentally, he kind of convinced himself that, well, if you're going to bat me at number 10, I'm going to bat like a number 10, for example. And I just wonder whether... And that is horrible for Ben Brown, that one. And that's gone for 4 byes. A short ball that swung, didn't carry, and bounced just in front of the Hampshire wicketkeeper as well.
Wasn't it?
Yeah,
like one of my 4 irons, that. Yeah. It was short but didn't reach the keeper and moved a long way past the bat. Yeah, good luck with that, Ben Brown. Having mitted terribly for a number of years, I sympathise.
Yeah.
It's mitting's great when the ball carries, because you've got so much time and it bounces through and you're catching it around shoulder height. It's lovely. On the second bounce, it's not so easy.
And a play and miss by Ben Sanderson to finish a successful over from James Fuller. No, I'm a village wicket keeper by trade, and you tend to pick up a few of those from your teammates as they throw the ball back into you.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have the ability to throw it to you at a nice height, and I'm sure any wicket keeper around the country listening to this goes, well, we know you can do it, but sometimes I think they just choose to do it on purpose, and they go, well, the gloves are there, so I'm going to throw it straight at your ankles.
What would be interesting is if you said to your team before you went out, lads, what I want you to do today is throw it just on the half volley to me every time, can you? And they'd hit the gloves every time. Yeah. It does frustrate me, particularly at this level, when you see consistently poor throwing. I just don't. It's bad standards, really.
A bit lazy sometimes.
It is a bit lazy. I agree. Yeah.
Kyle Abbott to Chris Tremaine. Chris Tremaine punches that one into the covers for a single.
Interesting on that about standards. We had Cameron White over for a couple of T20 campaigns, and the first year he came, he was waiting for his accommodation to be ready, and I popped down. He was in the office. I popped down to say hello, and he said he'd had a long flight, obviously, and he just got a car up from the airport. He'd probably had a couple of beverages on the plane as well.
Why not?
Why not? Exactly. And he said, I fancy doing some fielding if I'm just going to be hanging around. Can you get me some kit? So I said, well, we've got your kit. There you go. And let's get out there. So we came out, he and I. There was no one else around. And he put 2 cones on the boundary edge about 30 metres apart. And the idea was I hit the ball towards one cone. He ran from the other, caught it, threw it back in. This is a guy who's just flown 20-odd hours. And he's probably, as I say, had a couple of soft drinks en route. And he caught everything. I kind of expected that.
Yeah.
What I didn't expect was his. So we watch this one. His throwing back into me was exceptional. It was fast and flat and accurate every single time, apart from one where I had to take a step to catch it. Okay, so I've taken a step, I've caught it. As I've brought back to hit the next catch, he is kicking the advertising board because he's so down, so dirty on himself, as the Australians would say, about having made me. And I thought, oh, wow, this is a competitor we've got here, and so it proved to be.
That's a really good story. Short from Kyle Abbott and well defended in the end by Ben Sanderson, who gets off strike. There's something about Australian cricketers. There really is.
Yeah.
Real competitors, real fighters. We spoke highly of Chris Tremaine a moment ago, and all I've heard since I've been up here this year is how nice and how good of a bloke Chris Lynn is as well. Someone that they're really, really excited to have back at the club for the summer.
He had a big impact, I think. Certainly on the field, that was clear to see. I think off the field as well, he just upped everyone's game. It was a great sign. It'd be great to get him back. Well played. That's nice cricket.
Yeah, lovely shot by Chris Tremaine. Racing across the square. Looks like this is going to be another couple. Nick Gubbins does the fielding. And 2 more for Northamptonshire. Looks like Wendell's got a bigger flag. He's found a bigger one.
I'm surprised Wendell's not playing. Well, he is actually playing. He's practicing his forward defence there.
Yeah, looked like quite good technique from this far away.
It did, didn't it? Considering he's got a flag in one hand. In fact, he's got a flag in both hands, hasn't he? Yeah, a double flagger.
Shadow batting with a Northants flag. It's lucky he didn't bring this in the last couple of days, because I think he might have done a good Mary Poppins impression. And powerfully struck to cover by Chris Tremaine, which ends the 46th over. 140 for 7 now the score.
So you can see since Cobby left the arena, Ben Sanderson joins Chris Tremaine. Chris Tremaine is now looking to put his hands through a lot of deliveries, not recklessly, but his positivity has gone up a gear, and understandably so. He needs to score. He's now the senior batter. He needs to score.
And I suppose the mindset for Northamptonshire will be an element of how much time can we take out of this with the 3 wickets that we've got remaining, but also how much of an inroad can we make into this deficit that we've got
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very perilous position, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you have to play with some method in mind, and there's a balance between occupying the crease, as you say, taking time out of the game, and scoring. So we don't want to see reckless dismissals, but if someone's driving at half volleys or running balls down, then that's probably fair dinkum.
Yeah, James Fuller to Ben Sanderson. And Ben defends that one nicely into the offside. A very, very attacking field here from Hampshire and James Vince. We've got 3 slips. I would say a gully rather than a 5th slip. A short leg, a leg gully, a man down at fine leg on the hook as well, and a short mid-off. So very, very attacking here from Hampshire, looking to pick up these last couple of wickets for Northamptonshire. Full from James Fuller and well fielded by the man at short leg.
Well, I just thought I didn't say what I was going to say. I was just about to say it'll be probably 2 lengths here to Ben Sanderson. He'll probably go very full or very short. And the next thing he bowls him a very good Yorker, which he did well to dig out.
Terrific white ball cricketer, isn't he, James Fuller? So
he's a dangerous man, isn't he?
Yeah, to have that kind of Yorker up your sleeve, which maybe your out-and-out red ball bowler might not possess, is a real skill and a real weapon. Short this time, Ben Sanderson does well to get underneath it. Bit of a fighter, Ben?
Sando, he's a Yorkie, so he gets stuck in, and he's a proud Yorkie. He won't give it away. He'll be doing everything he can that he feels is the right thing. He obviously bats down the order for a reason. He's limited. On one of his early games, we played the Australian tourists, and he decided to take on, I think it was Pat Cummins, first short ball that he bowled.
Okay.
That didn't end well.
No.
That's
Sure.
really well played, isn't it?
Very nicely played.
Beautiful. Bottom hand off the bat. Knocked it down into the leg side. He'll be wishing that he did that with Pat Cummins, because it hit him square on the badge and the ball rolled back down the wicket.
Ouch.
Yeah, change of helmet, a bit of it was early days for the concussion protocol, so he remained out there, I think, from memory. But subsequently then decided to head the ball almost every time he went out to bat.
Right.
And we got through some helmets over the next couple of years.
Defended once more.
That's nearly his shot. Ben Sanderson's best shot is the back foot punch through the covers.
Joe Root-esque.
Yeah, plays it really, really well. Just cloth that one a little bit.
Good. You mentioned about the concussion protocols and tests. A fantastic addition to the game, isn't it? To put the safety of the players at the forefront rather than the context of the game.
Absolutely right.
Short this time and out. James Fuller picks up his 5th. Ben Sanderson goes caught at point. Ben Sanderson goes for 3, 140 for 8, and as I say, 5 wickets here at Wantage Roads for James Fuller. Just a bit bottom handy that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, just got the bottom of the bat in front of the handle of the bat, and the ball's going up from there. And it's only going one way unless you time it absolutely perfectly, which he didn't, and it carried all the way to point. Looks a soft dismissal, but it was a ball he could have scored off. I'm not going to criticise a number 9, number 10 for playing a shot like that. He would need to score.
A couple of yards either side. We could have been talking about Ben Sanderson picking up another couple of runs, couldn't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
5 wickets, as I say, for James Fuller. 11 overs, no maidens, 5 for 36, and he has bowled absolutely brilliantly from the Lynn Wilson centre end during this Northamptonshire first innings. 140 for 8. Now the score.
Did he bowl from this end last night as well? Yeah.
Did,
everything.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Jack White, the new batter.
Now Jack White is a maverick batter.
Yeah.
He's interesting.
Interesting.
I first saw Jack White as a 19-year-old. Came down on a recommendation from someone up in Cumbria. A coach that I knew up there sent him down, and he was a batter who bowled a bit back in those days.
Okay.
Yeah, and he could play. He was more interested in mountaineering and skiing. He's a bit of an outdoor action sport lover, and didn't really see cricket as something he wanted to spend a great deal of time on. Just happened to be good at it. Subsequently started to take the game more seriously a few years later, and ended up playing grade cricket in Australia and doing really well out there. And it was Ben Duckett, so it would have been about 2016-17, said to me, Rowie, do you know this guy Jack White who's tearing it up in grade cricket? I said, well, I do know a guy called Jack White. It could be the same guy. So Ben got me the number of the club coach over there. I spoke to him and reconnected with Jack, and he said, yeah, I want to give it a go. So I said, well, when you come back, you're going to be playing in our second team for as much as you can, and we'll look after you. And he did, and did really, really well. We had a very limited budget, which means no budget really. So we weren't able to sign him as early as we would have wanted to, and I was worried that others were going to come in for him because he's a fine bowler.
Played and defended out to mid-off this time. Looks fairly apparent then that Chris Tremaine is going to look to farm the strike here for, well, with that mindset, I suspect, I don't know, I don't think I'm that optimistic to see Lewis McManus bat here at the end of this innings, which is a shame.
He would have been out by now. Yeah.
But yeah, Chris Tremaine's job here will be to extend this innings as long as he possibly can and pick up the runs that are available. As you can see, the field is spread and is offering Chris Tremaine the single, who wallops Kyle Abbott down the ground. Not interested in the singles. I'll pick up a 4 instead. Thank you very much.
Nice shot, wasn't it?
Cracking shot.
Nice strike of the ball. Yeah, so Jack, we were eventually able to cobble together enough money to put in front of Jack as a contract that made sense to everyone. Thankfully, he signed that, and from there, he's just gone from strength to strength. You know, I thought he was my lad really. I thought we'd signed a good bowler, but he has improved more than I thought he could do. Actually, he's a superb bowler nowadays.
Oh, looked to give himself room that time, didn't he, Chris Tremaine, and has ended up sat on his backside as I think Kyle Abbott probably saw him opening up that offside.
I think he did.
And said, I'm not interested in playing your game.
Yeah, he withdrew the front foot quite early, didn't he?
He did.
Abbott said, okay, well, that's fine. But have a sniff of that as it goes by.
Not had the start to the season that Kyle Abbott would have wanted. I don't think he's picked up too many wickets so far for a guy that picked up over 50 last year.
He won't be far away though, will he? You know, when we look at the numbers in September, he'll be there or thereabouts.
Yeah.
A high quality performer.
Short and over the slips this time by Chris Tremaine. Well played from a Northamptonshire perspective, I would suggest, and 4 more. And is that 150 now for Northamptonshire?
I'm looking at the board. It says 148.
148.
But I don't know how quick. They're usually pretty quick here, aren't they?
They are,
getting the numbers up.
148 then. 4 more over the slip cordon. No, I've really enjoyed watching Jack over the last couple of games with the ball. He's not someone that I'll hold my hands up and say I've seen that much of.
Yeah.
I think so far he's got to be about the most unlucky bowler that I can possibly think of. A dot ball to finish the over. I think the way that he bowled against Middlesex, I know Ben Sanderson took the plaudits for that opening spell, but the two of them bowled so well together. And I think on another day, those numbers could have been quite easily reversed, and we could have been talking about Jack White picking up 3 for absolutely nothing. And then obviously, without going back into those drop catches and those opportunities in the first innings against Hampshire, created all of those opportunities. And he looked up and I think he'd bowled 10 overs and had gone for the best part of 40 runs.
Right.
And you went, well, how on earth has that happened?
Yeah,
When
mostly off the edge, I guess.
Exactly, down through to fine leg and third man.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, he's really taken to it like a duck to water. He's done a lot of work with Chris Little, the bowling coach here nowadays, and he's developed a wobble seam ball which runs back into the right-hander, and he bowls that really well. So his general ball kind of offers away a little, threatening the outside edge, but the one that really gets him most of the wickets is the one that runs back in, and he bowls that beautifully. Disappointing we didn't get a single off that last ball, Dan, because we want Chris to remain on strike, don't we?
I like it.
Yeah.
One for the dads. James Fuller to Jack White to face his first ball. And I'm going to suggest he watched that one past the off stump. That's what I'm going for. played inside the line.
Okay, let's leave it there.
Yep.
He Jack White is a very dangerous striker of the cricket ball, but it's kind of like all or nothing, you know.
Okay.
I think he makes his mind approximately now. It's just
Okay.
7 seconds before the ball is delivered.
Gotcha.
What his response is going to be.
Well, let's see what mind he's made up on this delivery then. And that's nicely played behind point, and he will pick up a single to put Chris Tremaine back on strike. So do you think Jack will be looking to as you say, kind of make his mind up early and be a tremendous striker of a cricket ball, or do you think he's going to bat with Chris?
Oh, well, I would imagine that Chris Tremaine is saying to Jack White, just stay with me here.
Yep.
Just get me on strike, stay with me. Don't do anything daft. If you get width, put your hands through it, but don't do anything daft. Don't get out softly, because I can play, and let me strike a few and see where we get to. I would imagine that's what the conversation would be. Of course, you know, Jack White bats number 11 for a reason, and decision making is part of that as well as ability. So we'll see how Jack goes about that. But that is what I would like to see: is Jack White just getting off strike as quickly as he can.
Oh, is that clean bowled? That is clean bowled.
Yes.
That's taken. That's hit the top of off stump, and Chris Tremaine goes for 16. That is 149 for 9. Then I thought he might have played that over the keeper then.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
It wasn't.
No.
It was the bail and the ball disappearing over the keeper, and that is that. That is Northamptonshire's first innings complete. 149 all out, with Lewis McManus retiring hurt and not coming out to bat. Now I suppose will be all eyes on the Hampshire dressing room as to the decision they make. 333 was the target for the follow-on, so Northamptonshire are a long way behind that. What would you do, assistant coach?
Well, I think you'd always look at how many overs that they've bowled, the bowlers have bowled, and they're lightly bowled, aren't they, really, overall? What's that? Fuller's bowled 11 and a half.
Yeah, with a night off in the middle as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Abbott's bowled. So with weather around on Sunday, I'd probably get bowling. I wouldn't overcomplicate it, but I don't know. People see things differently.
I didn't hear the follow-on, but I don't know.
I heard the words follow-on, but I don't know whether what preceded that, whether it was they have or they haven't.
I think that certainly in the international stage, the modern way is to bat again, isn't it? Or it's felt that way. But I can never quite work out, particularly with England, the ageing attack that England have got, as quality as it is. I think those guys would appreciate any form of break.
I would have thought so.
And they have. Hampshire have, in fact, enforced the follow-on.
I got one right. Thank goodness for that.
You did indeed. So
my first day on the job.
Hey,
one.
You're welcome. You're welcome back again. Trail by 333, and Hampshire have enforced the follow-on. And a fun fact that's come through from the producer is the fact that we trail exactly by what the follow-on target was.
Yeah, thanks for that, producer.
Yeah, I don't think we needed fun in front of that fact.
No.
But should we take a 5-minute breather?
Good idea.
And we'll be back with you for the start of Northampton's second innings. Welcome back. Northamptonshire's second innings is about to resume as the roller makes its way back to the garages underneath the maisonette. Ricardo Vasconcelos will face the first ball with his opening partner Hassan Azad, and unsurprisingly Mohammed Abbas will take the new ball from the David Capel end. Northamptonshire 333 runs behind on day 3 of this match between Northamptonshire and Hampshire, joined by former Northamptonshire assistant coach Phil Rowe on the live stream, which is powered by Daffabet. And any questions, any comments, any emails you'd like to send through us throughout the day, you can do so on Twitter at NorthampCCC or via email stream@nccc.co.uk. Welcome back, Phil.
Yeah, it wasn't quite what I was hoping to see this morning. I think we did what we could, but the ball was just a bit better than the bat this morning, really, which is disappointing. But another opportunity now, and Vasconcelos can show us what he's made of. He's a fine young player. I'm a big fan of Vasconcelos. He's light on runs so far this year, but he's got a great opportunity, albeit a very good attack to get through.
And an appeal first up. This time, trickling down to fine leg, and Vasconcelos gets up the other end.
First job done, Dan. He's off the king pair.
Get out of it.
He's off the king pair. It was first ball, wasn't it?
It was,
yeah. So he's off the king, yeah.
Unfortunately. A cracking delivery from Mohammed Abbas.
It was a very good ball, wasn't it? Very full. Swung a bit, nipped back in, and trapped him on front. It wasn't. Didn't do a whole lot wrong, as you said this morning.
It sounds so daft, doesn't it, to say probably batted quite well.
Mm-hmm.
Hassan Azad facing up against Mohammed Abbas, then straight away using his feet to Mohammed Abbas. We saw that quite a lot yesterday. Saw that quite a lot a week ago as well, to combat any lateral movement through the air or off the seam. So a positive approach from Hassan as well.
It's I mean, professional batting is about getting on top, dominating what you want to do, ensuring you do what you want to do, and he wants to kill that movement and get down the pitch and negate any sideways movement. That's well played.
Yeah, defended. Saw him having a hit this morning, and obviously got the pleasure of watching him yesterday as well. Just looks like a very organised, very sure of his own ability kind of cricketer. Knows what he does well and plays within his wheelhouse, I think.
Yeah, I think that's well. I think that's really sound summary. Yeah, he's a professional batter, isn't he? I'm surprised he was released by Leicestershire or whatever happened there. I'm not entirely sure.
Defended again. So I believe that the story goes that I think with playing budget, Leicestershire wanted their players to be multi-format, and I think they saw Hassan as red ball only, and therefore elected not to extend his contract, which was obviously to the benefit of Northamptonshire. But for a guy that averages what he does in the county championship, as you said, it does feel a little bit odd to let someone of his talent go.
Particularly an opening batter, they're like gold dust, aren't they, nowadays? A genuine opener.
Down the pitch and leaves that one well alone.
So he was at, I think he was at Loughborough University and scoring a lot of runs through the university. I think it was Loughborough, in university cricket at least. Yeah. He was scoring a lot of runs, a heck of a lot of runs, hundreds, double hundreds in white ball as well as red ball. And our current second 11 scorer here at Northampton, Quentin Jones, said, "Have you seen this guy?" I said, "I've seen the numbers and I don't." So I went to see to watch him on the back of that steer.
Short from Abbas this time. Just keeping Hassan honest as he comes down the pitch again.
So we again, it was in a period where we didn't have budget. It was midway through the season. The university season had finished. Those guys who can then try and force their way into second 11s and try and get extended trials, as it were, and that's what we were able to offer to Hass. Unfortunately, around the same time, Leicestershire offered him a rather better option with a professional contract, and we weren't able to do that, and so he went to Leicestershire. But fine player and someone who with a bit of luck, would have been in our colours sooner. Obviously, he was out of the game over the winter, and with the injury to Emilio, John Sadler's having worked with Haas at Leicestershire for a few years, he was a no-brainer really to bring him in.
Absolutely. Kyle Abbott then to take the new ball from the Lynn Wilson centre end, bowling to Ricardo Vasconcelos, who pulls away from that one. Whether someone in front of the sight screen has started moving about. Funny how often that happens, isn't it, at cricket? And then the person goes, "What, me?"
Me?
Like, yeah, you're the one that's... The thing that always makes me laugh as well is it's normally sometimes more often than not, it's the people that are employed at the cricket ground that are still doing it.
Very often.
And as you see the high-vis vest like dash past, and you go, well, I think hopefully you would know at least. Anyway, here we go. And a big appeal. Nothing from the umpire at all. Is there a bit of bat on that, Phil, or was that a bit high, do you think?
I'd say it's a little high. You got a decent stride and it sounded a bit thigh paddy, didn't it? Let's have a look.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
thigh pad on the back leg, wasn't it?
Back leg, thigh pad, yeah. Although he's not the tallest, is he, Ricardo? So
he's not.
It was a good shout. I've seen those given, but I think there was enough doubt there.
Yeah.
Brand new ball. Hit him on the back thigh pad. Is it going to clip the bail or go over? Benefit of the doubt with the batter.
And that is a drop catch, I think
that is
by
a drop catch, yeah.
Kyle Abbott, who wrings his fingers in pain and equal measures of disgust with himself, I suspect, but that's gone back quite quickly. That is a drop catch.
Yeah, it was kind of the inside half of the bat, wasn't it? And didn't quite get his weight over it, so the ball went back in the air, as we can see. And the caught and bowls are never easy. To the untrained eye, that might look like a simple catch, but it's certainly not. He's recovering his balance. He's got to try and work out how hard it's coming back at him to get his hands around it. But I would have expected him to catch it, but it's not an easy catch by any means.
Yeah, it looks like he might have done himself a bit of a mischief amongst his fingers here as well. Just going to have a little bit of a loosener there to make sure everything still works. And fortunately for Kyle Abbott, it looks like it does. It's funny, isn't it? It didn't look like it came back that quickly, but...
And I think that's why he might have dropped it. He might have, his hands perhaps closed around the ball early.
Yeah.
So it's hit him on the way in. Is possibly what's happened there. Yeah. So he feels there's a loud noise. Instinctively, he's gone for a full pace shot, and it's come off the inside half of the bat. So his hands have closed before it's in. I would suspect that's what might have happened.
Yeah, a chance in a life for Ricardo Vasconcelos, though, who will be, I'm sure, looking to cash in on this opportunity now.
He wants one just on his pads to just turn square leg for 4. That's what he's dying for.
And shape into Vasconcelos from Kyle Abbott once again. Tough pair of opening bowlers to start up against, isn't it?
It doesn't get a lot more difficult than this, does it?
No.
The wicket's still doing plenty. You're minus 333. You're on a king pair. You've just been dropped, caught and bowled. How's your confidence?
Yes. I did wonder what his heart rate might have shot up to with the LBW appeal as well.
Yeah, quite high. I think he's pretty flat line on those things, but nonetheless, I think you're right.
And defended into the leg side this time. Lovely lad as well. We got the pleasure of his company last week in the final innings against Middlesex. So his day was obviously done and didn't score as many runs as what he would have liked to. And I think took the opportunity to come and sit with us rather than dwell in the dressing room.
Rather than sit with his teammates.
Exactly.
And can't blame him.
But again, a really, really nice lad, and gave an amazing insight into the dressing room and into the atmosphere in the team, which is brilliant to be able to bring that to the Northants fans watching the stream. And that is the first runs for Vasconcelos, outside half of the bat this time, past the slip cordon, and 4 runs. First boundary of the innings.
There'll be many shouts of off 'em in the changing room, meaning off the pair. It doesn't really matter too much how you get off 'em, but he's off 'em. That's job 2 done. The first one was avoid the king pair, second one's avoid a pair. So the heart rate should just start dropping.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pleased for him. I'm pleased for him. We've had a message come through from Gambo, who said, "Good afternoon, gents. Watching the live stream before I go to Sixfields and watch Northampton versus Harrogate. Not looking good for Northamptonshire. They've got to dig in. Thanks, Philip Gamage."
Oh, I know, Phil. Yeah. Yeah. He's right, as usual. He's bang on.
Oh, and that is the first wicket of Northamptonshire's second innings. Mohammed Abbas drawing the outside edge from Hassan Azad. Caught at first slip this time, and Hampshire have their first.
Looked a good ball round the wicket. Looked like it ran away from him. An in-swinger to the right-hander, and it's pitched and gone. It's a good low catch as well.
Very good catch by James Vince at first slip.
Just have a look at the bat path here. Just Ben Smith will be looking at this, and just looks like he plays across a little bit across the line. So the bat has come from outside to in. I don't know why I'm demonstrating it, because you can't see me.
Well, we can if the producer catches quick enough and puts us on camera, Phil.
But his hands have come kind of from third slip. Let's have a look at it again. You can all see this one. So he just looks to play across the ball from outside to in. There you can see the bat is angled at an angle of about 1 o'clock, which suggests that the bat has come across the ball, and he's been a little bit unlucky to nick that. But obviously the idea is that you try and play a straight bat.
Sure.
And had he done so, he probably still would have nicked it, would have got a thicker edge and run away. He might have picked up some 2 or 3 runs down to third man, but technique just found him out a little bit there, just coming across the back of the ball. He's looking to get outside off stump, isn't he, to take LBW out of the equation. So his head's going that way, outside off stump. As he goes outside off stump, his hands are going to go, and then he's got to come back into the ball, and that's probably what resulted in him nicking it. Let's have a look again. Yeah, he's just played a slightly across the line there. I mean, when we say across the line, it doesn't necessarily mean a big swipe across the front pad. He has played from out to in, and he hasn't presented the full face of the bat, and that's what's led to his downfall.
The first time really we've seen that here at Wantage Road for Hassan Azad as well. But the new batter for Northamptonshire is overseas Aussie Sam Whiteman at number 3, sponsored by Cinch here at Northamptonshire. Batted very nicely in the second innings against Middlesex last week, and against a tough bowling attack we'll be looking to do the same again. And that is well played in the end, I think, by Sam Whiteman off the outside edge of the bat, and picks up 2 to get off the mark.
It really, it's a nice sort of. The cloud has come over a little bit. The sun is a bit sort of softer now. It's not blazing sunshine. Nonetheless, it's a nice morning to bat. But almost every ball that's been bowled has offered some kind of movement, hasn't it? It is very, very difficult out there. With a brand new ball against high quality seam bowlers, it doesn't get much tougher a test than this.
Defended this time by Sam Whiteman. It certainly felt from here anyway that Hampshire have extracted a little more through the air and off the pitch than what Northamptonshire were able to do. Is how much a first day, and people, hindsight's a wonderful thing, or at least that's what the saying says. I think it's a terrible thing, to be honest with you, Phil, but I've never really understood the logic behind it. But that said, how much of an impact would the temperature and that the strength of that breeze actually have on the bowlers and their ability to swing the ball and move it off the straight?
It wind. It doesn't swing so much when it's windy generally. I thought there was, from what I saw. I haven't been here watching every ball as closely, obviously, as I'm now doing. I thought that the bowlers bowled well.
I agree.
I just sometimes they nick them. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes you catch them. Most of the time you do. We've been catching very well the last few years. And sometimes you don't. I think Vince was 25 when he was dropped, went on to get 180 or plus. So there's 160 we don't have to worry about. So you take your chances with the new ball, and it looks like a great toss to win, doesn't it?
Yeah. Defended once again by Sam Whiteman. Nick Gubbins, on the other hand, thinking back to his innings, I can only recall 3 moments where he played any kind of full shot. Looked as assured of any batter I think I've ever seen live.
Okay. Yeah, he's a fine player. I was very surprised when he left Middlesex. I don't know quite, again, what happened there, whether they felt he was surplus to requirements.
Well, I know he's a South Coast lad anyway. he grew up playing his cricket about 10 minutes down the road from my home. A bit of lift from Mohammed Abbas off his last ball, so I don't know whether that had any impact, that he maybe wanted to be a little bit closer to home.
Okay. Well, it's a nice place to play your cricket, isn't it? At the Ageas Bowl. He did. I don't know well enough really. Perhaps I should know, but whether his pathway was into Middlesex, whether he came through their youth ranks, whether he was at school in the area. I mean, I would imagine as a homegrown that he slipped through the Hampshire net somehow. It's a pretty good network they've got down there. Their youth cricket is very, very good, really well run down in Hampshire. But yeah, he was doing pretty well, I thought, for Middlesex. I think he was on a Lions tour at one time as well.
He was. A tour to the UAE in 2018. He played in those North versus South games in the Caribbean as well.
And I think he was away when Ben Duckett was the famous Jimmy Anderson. Would you like a drink, Jimmy? Here you go.
Yeah.
That incident, whatever happened there, who really knows the answer to that? But I think Nick was around then with Ben on that trip.
Yeah.
I
did speak to Ben about that a few years ago. Not something that I don't think it's considered to be his proudest moment, but I think there's an element of context that's been taken out of that experience anyway.
Yeah.
I don't quite think it was as bad and as sinister as what it was made out to be at the time.
Well, Ben was a Northampton player at the time, and I did speak to him at that time. So yeah, I can't say too much because he wouldn't want me to. But I think he was definitely wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
And I think he was probably harshly dealt with.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Lovely shot by Vasconcelos, who picks up a couple. It was an era, wasn't it, of that England cricket team where discipline was something that I think the management thought was lacking. And as you say, potentially harshly treated. The punishment didn't necessarily fit the crime.
I agree. I think we should probably leave it there. But I think that paints a picture, doesn't it?
That's absolutely fine.
I think that's fair comment, Dan. Yeah.
Lovely lad, anyway. Abbott to Vasconcelos.
It's a good battle, this, isn't it?
Tough, really tough.
Good battle. Cricket is a game of skill, and I don't usually bang on about technique because technique can be difficult for young players in particular to understand, and it's important as a coach, I think, to allow people to move naturally. But this is an example where technique is very. The better your technique, the better chance you've got of surviving in this situation here.
Down the leg side, and a good take by Ben Brown.
So yeah, back to Hass's dismissal. Really, he will look back at that, I'm sure, and think, okay, I have played across that a little bit. And at this level, those things happen quickly. At this level, and at this level, if you consistently do that, then you are going to be averaging more like 25 than 35. 35 gets you a career, 25 doesn't. And it can be, it's fine margins, particularly as an opening batsman. Fine margins. He's just played inside that ball a little bit with his hands. Pushed at that again.
He has indeed. Nothing to worry about that time from Ricardo. Ricardo was talking last week about, spoke quite passionately about 1%ers, which I think is very much kind of a professional cricket terminology, and saying about how much of a difference 1% either way, whether it comes to training, technique, guard, mindset, whatever that might be, can actually have as an outcome towards the end of your day, your innings, your game, whatever the circumstance might be. Catcher in at a silly mid-on. Obviously saw the one that Kyle Abbott dropped in his first over, and has noticed that Ricardo Vasconcelos might be going slightly harder at the ball than what Ricardo would want to, and they've put a catcher in.
I think the 1%ers is interesting, and they're called 1%ers for a reason. For me, they've got to go on top of the 99%. If you've got 40% and you add the 1%ers, then you're in the wrong place. You've still got 59% of other hard work to do.
Good point.
So let's make sure that we've got the 99% before we start focusing on the one.
And Kyle Abbott beats the bat this time and finishes with a dot ball, 9 for 1 off 4 overs.
I mean, that kind of looks perhaps like a quiet over, but that's been challenging. Every ball was challenging one edge or the other. That one's gone past the outside edge. Earlier in the over, he got the bat back on line to one that held its line back into the pads. He pushed at one that just sat a bit on the... Every ball is a real challenge, and this is great new... I mean, that's the word I would use. This is great new ball bowling.
Yeah.
It's really top draw.
And undoubtedly nervous for Northamptonshire fans.
Oh, no doubt.
Exciting for Hampshire fans, and gripping for anybody that's tuned into the live stream that's watching this as a neutral as well.
High quality.
Sam Whiteman, an opener by trade for Western Australia, so possibly wouldn't have faced too many Mohammed Abbas-style bowlers in the Sheffield Shield, but facing up against the new ball is certainly not going to be outside of his pay grade.
No, so and being an Aussie, he'll probably just love that challenge. No, I've not done it, mate. I'm going to go and learn how to do it and give it my best. A very positive outlook. You don't want to get down on yourself in this game. This game will kick you enough. You don't need to be kicking yourself. And actually, that's something that young players coming into the game who have only seen success can struggle with a wee bit. I think, I'm sure Ben wouldn't mind me talking about him in this way. Ben Duckett. Ben was a prodigious youth cricketer. He's a prodigious England cricketer now, obviously.
Yeah.
And
done incredibly well on his recall back to the Test team, hasn't he?
Fantastic cricketer. And a good lad. And we're very proud of him here at Northampton still. But he'd only known success, and then when he started to, as will always happen in every career, started to experience less than success and some difficult times, it took him a little while to work his game back out in order to counteract that. So it's sometimes
shot from Abbas, and Sam Whiteman gets out of the way of that one nicely.
Sometimes as a coach, you kind of want to work with a player to say, look. And this is a real fine balance. There's a real sweet spot here. I'm not saying I've got this right by any means, by the way, but I know there is a sweet spot to hit between absolutely trying to fill your player with confidence on the one hand, on the other hand, trying to help them to consider what their resources might be if their game starts to just go away from them a little bit. So to get them back on side as quickly as you can. It's a fine balance to strike.
And cut away by Sam Whiteman, who picks up his first boundary of the day. Nicely played down towards backward point.
Hits that ball hard, doesn't he, there?
He really does.
He doesn't run it down. He hits it hard. That reminded me of Simon Katic. If people can remember Simon Katic, kind of 2005, 2010, played some good innings for Australia. Talented, unorthodox player. But there's a lot of Simon Katic in the way that Whiteman bats.
So was Simon Katic at Western Australian as well? I might have to double check that.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. I know he was a fierce competitor.
Moved into coaching as well, didn't he?
He did, that's right, yeah.
I just wonder whether... Western Australia, New South Wales, Perth Scorchers. I'm semi-convinced that he might have coached the Perth Scorchers as well. Where I say semi-convinced, obviously not convinced enough to say it out loud or say it with any certainty.
Good job no one's listening.
No, I don't know how many people we've got in on the stream at the moment. Defended nicely by Sam Whiteman.
I was very lucky to be able to go over to Australia on a coaching kind of finding out tour sponsored by Lord's Taverners a number of years ago now, and was visiting the Centre of Excellence in Brisbane. We went all around the country, actually, myself and another guy, Peter Johnson, who coaches in the Island setup. And up in Brisbane, which was the Centre of Excellence for Cricket Australia at that stage, they had a test for all Australian batters who were in the A team or in the national side about manoeuvring the cricket ball. How many different gaps can you hit with the same ball? And it was a big test, and Simon Katic was streets ahead of anyone else at getting the same ball into different areas.
Okay, that's interesting to hear. Abbott and Vasconcelos leaves that one alone. I can back up my kind of guess in that Simon Katic is in fact part of the Perth Scorchers coaching setup. Not the head coach, but list management and strategy.
Recruitment, basically.
There we go.
Hire and fire by the sound of it. But it's interesting because Simon Katic wasn't a pretty guy to watch, but he worked on his own technique. And what I think he's had a different technique. It allowed him to get the ball into different places. So a difficult guy to bowl at. That just looks like a peach, doesn't it?
Yeah, beating the outside edge of Ricardo Vasconcelos. Played the line, didn't he, rather than the ball, which is a positive, but that's angled in.
Yeah, that's done enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if he continues to miss that ball, then you've got to say you need to just be a yard fuller to the bowler. You know, there's a lot of talk about unlucky bowlers who go past the outside edge consistently, and sometimes for a career. You know, you'll hear people say, "Oh, yeah, he was a great bowler, just didn't pick up the wickets he deserved."
And that is a wicket that Kyle Abbott has deserved. Off stump, Ricardo Vasconcelos is bowled by South African Kyle Abbott for 6. Northamptonshire 13 for 2.
We've seen some good deliveries this morning, haven't we? Fuller getting Cobb out clean bowled was one of those, and this is another one. There's not much you can do with that.
No.
On a good day, you nick it. As I said about Cobb, it's very similar. And when you're in poor form, that's what happens. You get a peach, don't you?
You do. You tend to get more peaches, don't you?
You certainly do. That ball was a little bit fuller, hitting the stumps rather than going over the stumps, which is where I was kind of headed, really. Spectators talk about unlucky bowlers, and yeah, that guy should have. You know, he got 500 wickets, could have got 1,000 wickets. But there'll be a reason why that bowler did not get those wickets over a period of time. You know, look aside over a period of time, that evens out. You kind of get what you deserve over a career, and oftentimes it'll be the willingness to bowl that little bit fuller, because then you might get driven. So you've got to be a bit braver to get it up there. That ball was fuller and did hit the stumps rather than going over the stumps. So immediately Abbott has worked out the length to bowl to be hitting the stumps and produced it. And these bowlers are landing the ball almost entirely where they want to, almost all the time, with decent pace and high quality movement either way. This is as hard as it gets as a top order batter right now.
Yeah, completely agree with you, and not from a Northamptonshire fan perspective, but you certainly set that wicket up quite well on commentary, didn't you?
Sorry about that.
New batter, captain Luke Proctor, sponsored by More UK, will be looking to make amends from his first innings performance yesterday, facing up against Kyle Abbott. The score 13 for 2. Everybody has spoken so highly of Luke Proctor as a character, a leader, someone that you want to go into battle with.
Certainly. It's a good man, Proc. Got a lot of time for Proc. We signed him from Lancashire, and he's proven to be a really good signing for us. You don't get them all right by any means, Dan, but I think this one, I think we did.
First ball, and off the mark straight away. Gets off his pair.
Well done, Proc. He's far better when it bounces. Full toss is just not his thing. That must have been, there'll be a scary moment when you lose the ball. And he did, he just lost that completely, didn't he, last night to James Fuller. There's nothing you can do about it, and you're just waiting for it to hit you somewhere. If you're lucky, it hits you on the bat.
Yes.
And that one hit him on the stump.
Yeah, the rumour is, I think James Fuller had bowled that one from wider on the crease.
Okay.
Which didn't get picked up by the side screen. As Kyle Abbott goes past the outside edge of Sam Whiteman. So good bowling by James Fuller yesterday to go wider on the crease and create a different angle, but possibly not the execution that he, well, the result that he wanted, but not the execution that he was after. But I mean, it only says wicket in the scorebook, doesn't it? That classic I was saying.
Absolutely right. I mean, the one thing you would say is it was straight, you know, so
yes.
There's something in that.
You miss, I hit type mindset. And Kyle Abbott has beaten Sam Whiteman with another absolute peach of a delivery.
He's enjoyed that one. He's got a lot of wickets, Abbott. He really enjoyed that one.
Angled in, seamed in. Sam Whiteman goes for 6.
I mean, if you look at Sam Whiteman's finished position there, he is well outside off stump. So the ball has swung in and then straightened away from him. I think you know, I've done some commentary over the time. I'm not here to just say we're unlucky. That's just great bowling. There's not a lot you can do about that. That's fantastic bowling. It really is.
Kyle Abbott, 50 wickets last season in the county championship, and proving exactly why that was no fluke. And quality cricketer that I'm sure South Africa would have enjoyed seeing an awful lot more of over his career. Elected not to go down that route and play for Hampshire instead. And what's been South Africa's loss has definitely been Hampshire's game. And we are seeing a quality opening spell from Kyle Abbott.
Yeah, this is Division 1 bowling, isn't it? That's what you'd probably summarise it in that way. High quality Division 1 bowling. What I've been impressed with is, who knows what was said in the room between between the innings, in the change of innings, but I feel that they have bowled fuller with the new ball, because there is enough there. Sometimes it won't move if it's that full and people can negate it, but it's moving enough to get the outside edge, to miss the outside edge indeed. So there's plenty of movement there, and then it's a matter of, am I brave enough, am I good enough, skillful enough to consistently bowl it fuller of a length? On a flat pitch, you bowl that length, you get driven. So it's a different length that they're normally used to training to bowl, but it's very full of a good length, and these guys have worked it out very quickly.
Yeah, Mohammed Abbas to Luke Proctor. The new batter is Rob Keogh, sponsored by New Gen IT. And in comes Mohammed Abbas to Luke Proctor. So Luke Proctor turns that one into the leg side, defended nicely. Rob Keogh's had a good start to the season, 100 down at Canterbury, 75 not out up here against Middlesex last week as well. So in good form, and Northampton will be looking to these two to steady the ship somewhat.
Yeah, they're good mates, these two. They bat well together, which is always, it's always something. It's nice to see a right-hander in, just so that they're just lining up the left-handers one after another, aren't they? The top four all left-handers. Something Luke Proctor is very good at is very subtly adjusting his technique to the challenge that he faces. Clearly, he wants to bat the way he wants to bat, but he's experienced enough and good enough to say, okay, well, today I need to just maybe get across the crease a little bit more, or today I need to get a little bit more leg side of it, for example, whatever it might be. He's very adept at doing that, just applying what he's got in terms of what's coming down at him, and he makes it into a kind of more of a personal battle then.
Gotcha. Defended once more, which I suppose is one of those characteristics which backs up that leadership quality, that fight, that doggedness, which sounds quite an insult, but it really isn't, of a character that the captain Luke Proctor here is. You know,
it's interesting, isn't it? Because, yeah, you say someone's got a bit of dog about them. It's almost, well, they're not very stylish, or they're actually 4-day cricket over a season. It's hard. You know, it's hard and tough. You're going to have plenty of difficult spells, difficult sessions. You want players with a bit of dog about them, and Proc has that.
Shape away from Luke Proctor, left well alone. Questions come in from Matt Coggins, obviously after your time here at Northamptonshire, but do you know much about Ollie Sale, the new signing?
A little. A little. I spoke to Jack Brooks about him. Brooks is obviously ex-Northants and a mate of mine. Just to really get Brooks' view. Brooks is a great lad. Bowls quick. He's had some issues with injury, but spoke highly of his character. So that's all I can say. I have seen him bowl. I saw him bowl up here.
An appeal from Abbas
for Somerset in a white ball game, and I was impressed with him. And I thought he might feature more than he did, but injuries curtailed his career really at that stage. But he's fought back well. He's a big, strong lad. Bowls a good gas. Wholehearted. We did. I know the club did a bit of research on him. I spoke to Brooks in, I know other conversations we've had. So I think he's a good signing. In the squad, he effectively replaces Brandon Glover, who hit the wicket bowler, good gas, and Ollie kind of replaces that one.
So Matt said in his email that following the stream with interest when I can, and some trepidation, obviously, given Northampton's current position. And also enjoying the coverage and the regular stream, in inverted commas, of guests. Which, as a co-commentator and a guest, You're included in that one.
I'll have that.
Which is nice. He's gone on to say, I'm wondering if you had any news about Ollie Sale, the Somerset fast bowler Northants signed at the end of last season, which I think we've covered off, as he hasn't heard anything about him since. Surely we need someone like him as Tremaine is leaving at the end of this game. Keep up the good work, Matt Coggins. Could you see someone like Ollie Sale, fitness permitting, form permitting, be someone that Northants could look to bring in if Chris Tremaine, or when Chris Tremaine goes, and potentially an overseas replacement isn't that easy to find with Lance Morris now missing his trip to Northants?
Yeah, and obviously that was the plan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tremaine would roll off and Morris would roll on, which is a lovely plan. Unfortunately for everyone, Morris has picked up quite a nasty back injury by the sound of things. Yes, I'm going to say yes, but, and the but isn't really about Ollie Sale particularly. The club wouldn't have signed him if we didn't think he was a good prospect. I think in particular Ollie's been signed for white ball cricket to start with. I'd be looking, I haven't spoken to John about it, but I would be looking for some more experience to come in.
Okay.
Right now, Tremaine is experienced bowler, Morris an experienced bowler. I would want, not to say Ollie hasn't got this, but he hasn't got the experience. He certainly doesn't have the experience in red ball cricket, and we could do with someone with a bit of pedigree. So I'd be looking at the loan market.
Yep, okay.
Look at where there's some warehouse bowlers who are not getting in. Clubs will want them to be playing first 11 cricket, and we can accommodate them. I'm sure it's about getting the right guy if we can. It's more difficult in Division 1 because you want a Division 1 squad bowler. That's where most of the big squads are. And then you end up playing against that team, so it can be tricky. Yes, exactly.
Oh, Abbott. Big appeal from the slip cordon, but nothing coming from Carl Abbott, nothing from the umpire either.
It didn't have a look about it, did it? That he nicked it.
Just a little kind of fend at it, wasn't there, as the ball went past the bat. But
and you notice where he finished there. Rob Keogh finished with both feet outside off stump, so his weight is going across there. It's not can be a nervous starter, Rob, but he's better when his weight is coming back towards the bowler rather than across into the offside.
Full
nice shot
from Carl Abbott and nicely played by Rob Keogh down to mid-off.
And that was a half volley, but he's not intended to bowl a half volley, but he's intended to bowl that side of the length.
Yep.
And if he'd have got driven for 4 there, he would have just shrugged his shoulders. I need to be thereabouts. Okay, I got that one slightly wrong. But he would rather be there and get driven than be left on length where it goes over the bails and nothing really happens apart from a few oohs and ahs from the slip. So that's where he needs to be, fuller of a good length, and that's where he's been living this morning.
Oh, big appeal this time, and Rob Keogh is adjudged LBW. Off the bowling of Kyle Abbott. I don't know whether he might have just got outside the line of off stump there. It'd be interesting to see that one back, but nonetheless, Rob Keogh is on his way back for a 5-ball duck.
It looked dead to me.
Yeah,
that's absolutely dead.
Yeah, it was his finishing position that.
Yes, it was.
That conned me into thinking he might have got outside the line, but 14 for 4 now, Northamptonshire against Hampshire.
Again, we talked about technique. It's the most difficult time to bat is when you're just starting, because you're anxious to get to the ball. You're trying to cover all sorts. There's movement both ways at decent pace, as we've said. So he's trying to get his weight forward and a little bit outside off stump. And in doing that, he's just got too much weight and he's not been able to get the bat back onto line with the ball. And the thing to look for here is after it hits him, and then there's movement after it's hit him, which tells you that he's balancing himself. So he was not balanced. Sure. Not terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, the previous ball he really fell over, but if you just look closely, he's made a stride and then there's movement after that initial front foot stride. That tells you the batsman's not balanced, and that's why he missed it.
And incredibly tough to start against Kyle Abbott, particularly in this form, brimming with confidence, maybe one that maybe confidence that he hasn't yet seen so far this season, and 3 for 7 off nearly 4 overs quickly changes the confidence in a fast bowler. Josh Cobb, the new batter for Northamptonshire, unfortunately for us and for Northampton's fans, we were only talking about him about half an hour ago. Sponsored by ComSave, batted nicely in the first innings for 44, and let's desperately hope we get those 44 and some more from Josh Cobb.
I thought he shaped it really, really, really well, Cobby, this morning. He got an absolute perler of a delivery from Fuller. Not the only one that's got a perler of a delivery this morning either.
No.
It's been outstanding bowling.
Carl Abbott then to Josh Cobb. And plays that down into the offside and survives the first ball. End of the over. Carl Abbott 4 overs, no maidens, 3 for 7. Northants 14 for 4. This at this point of the stream over the last couple of days, this is where we start getting emails that start off with, as a Hampshire fan. We get a few more at these points, and Nick has emailed in and he said, "Good afternoon, gents. As a Hampshire fan, not only am I enjoying the stream as we're playing well, but the coverage over the past few days has been fantastic. An absolute credit to Northants from the camera work." So Ben on the gantry, who has been frozen solid over the last couple of days, to the unbiased commentary as well. Keep up the smashing work. As Luke Proctor tucks that one into the leg side. It's a shame it doesn't look like we're heading for a day 4 finish, Nick. I think from a Hampshire fan perspective, looking at the weather forecast, I think Hampshire could be quite pleased that it doesn't look like we're going for a day 4 finish. But anyway, Nick, thank you for the message. Thank you for the compliments as well. It's been a real pleasure to commentate on this game so far.
Yeah, it's high quality stuff, isn't it? It's
Really
high quality stuff.
And this is a bowling attack without Keith Barker as well.
Yeah, who's very, very talented as well. Broke both hands, I hear.
I heard a knuckle. I didn't realise it was both hands, but
I think there's something on both, yeah.
Defended there. So is there any kind of time scale as to that as a recovery, do you know? Or?
I don't. I mean, he's here, isn't he? And he's carrying drinks, so he's yeah, it can't be too bad, I guess.
No. I've definitely seen him bowling in warm-ups as well over days 1 and 2.
Right. It's got the look of the way that the ball is behaving, and I mean, it's not outrageous. It's high quality bowling, as I continue to say, but it kind of feels like a green wicket, doesn't it? And it's not green at all. The sun's out. It's a nice colour pitch, nice straw colour. There's 8 mil of grass on it, so it's fairly, it's not. We've left 10 on in the past time, so 8 is at this time of year about right. It looks nice. So it is credit to the Hampshire attack. That they're getting so much movement so consistently.
Yeah, Josh Cobb off the mark there. I think the pitch is playing how Northants expected it to play when they won the toss and had the ball first.
Yeah.
And speaking to John Sadler at the end of day 1 and mentioning the length of grass and the moisture that was in the pitch as well, and the feedback from the ground staff and the way the square performed the week before, I think it was a little bit of a surprise that we didn't see the lavish movement on day 1.
And of course, sometimes, I'm not saying this is the case in this game, but sometimes the ball can move too much. It moves too much, they don't nick it. So that can be a factor. That's where you have to go very full.
Off Luke Proctor's pads and well fielded at mid-wicket.
He's an interesting guy to watch bat, Luke Proctor. He can look a little bit, I'm sure he wouldn't mind, it can look a little bit ungainly at times, but he plays the ball so late. And that's one of his major attributes, plays it so late, right under his eyes.
I love the style personally.
You do?
Yeah, I'm all for being unique and creating the way that you want to play because it works for you. For me personally, I don't think there's anything worse than coaches going, well, if you don't play it like this, and that has beaten Luke Proctor's outside edge. If you don't play like this, it's not right, and it's like, well, let the lad, let the kid, whatever age they are, let them figure it out for themselves, and then try and help and build on the technique that they've got.
Dan, that's music to my ears. That's good coaching. Poor coaching is to try and get everyone to look like the textbook, because that's what you know as a coach. I know the textbook, I know what I should be seeing. I'm not seeing that, so I'm going to get this player to look like this, and then I've done a good job. Well, you probably haven't, because you've taken any naturalness out of it. I live on the race. I don't live on the race course. That would make me a vagrant, wouldn't it? Which is possibly down the line. But my house overlooks the race course, and this morning, opening the blinds to the park run going past. So there's 400 people run past, and everyone runs differently.
Yeah.
Okay. So running's fairly natural thing to do. Not for me, but for lots of people. And everyone runs differently. And I would imagine that if you made each of those people into a silhouette and got family members to identify their family member running, they could probably do that from a silhouette. So it's unique, it's individual, and our body and our brain work together to work out the best way to run for us. Okay, so that's and we accept that about runners. Paula Radcliffe, and everyone runs differently.
The famous nod, wasn't it, from Paula Radcliffe?
Exactly. So if we and we accept that, and we allow people to run in their own individual way.
And Josh Cobb plays that one into the leg side, and is coming back for two. A big appeal and has been given run out. Josh Cobb goes run out for one off the fielding down there, and that, without stating the obvious, Phil, is a soft one to give away in this circumstance.
Yeah. And you said it all there. There's a great piece of fielding, and the throw was inch perfect, but there is no need to take that risk.
No.
Do you know, I just watched the replay back there, and the basics are the basics for good reason. He didn't run the first run fast. He really didn't. He probably felt, looking back now, it's a slow in and out, and then he puts the accelerator down halfway along. He knows he's struggling now. It's probably one of those where he felt that there's two to that angle, but he didn't run the first one with intent to run a second.
Didn't give himself the chance to come back.
Now, and then credit to the fielder, because that is we were talking about throwing earlier on, weren't we? And standards and so on, and that was absolutely perfect. It hadn't been perfect, he'd have got in. The keeper has to reach for that and drag it back to the bails. He's probably made his ground, but that's an error. Batting it's about a number of things, technique or skill being one of them, but decision making being another one, and that's just a poor decision.
17 for 5 now the score, and the new man to the crease is Gareth Berg. So a shame not to see Lewis McManus in this second innings. If anybody is just tuning in, he retired hurt overnight and did not bat in the first innings. And obviously Gareth Berg coming in one place up the order this time around.
Thankfully it interrupted my story about running.
Yes.
Do you remember that? That was some time ago.
Yeah, and unfortunately the running there wasn't right, was it?
But the point there is everyone runs in an individual way, and there are things I'm sure that could help here and there, but people have run in their own individual way and won 100 metres races, marathons and everything in between. When it comes to sometimes to cricket, which is a far more difficult thing to do, we kind of want everyone to adopt the same, or coaches want everyone to adopt the same way of doing it, and that kind of doesn't make any sense to me. Let's move naturally and work it out from there. So it's a skill game rather than a technique game.
Gareth Berg leaves his first one alone, and I hope, as an amateur and as someone that has coached younger cricketers in the past, I really hope that the influence that the test team in particular are having on the game at the moment does then filter down to coaches, to players, to parents, to helpers through club cricket, and realise, as you say, it's skill and it's flair and it's enjoyment and it's fun, and it has changed over the last 10, 20, 30 years.
A great example of that, we've mentioned him a few times this morning already, coincidentally. He ticks a number of boxes, is Ben Duckett, who is a skill player. Ben, he's not classic by any means, but he finds his way to do things. He's not ungainly, he's quite attractive on the eye, but he's not classic in terms of the MCC coaching manual. You wouldn't say that. And he came through our academy. He's in the same under-11s team as my younger son, actually. So I've known Ben a very long time. And when coaches have come in to do work with him, I've just said to them, they'll say, what about Ben? How do I work with him? And I've just said, make the challenge harder. And he will find a way. He'll work it out because he's a high skill player.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, he has done. The time when he first got into the England team, he got a lot of input at that stage from coaches trying to change his technique, in particular against spin bowling. And anyone who watched that series when Ben first got into the side, he was confused. You know, there's a picture of a confused man there trying to bat at international level, because he was trying to change his technique to fit what the coaches wanted him to do. He's gone away and worked it out, and now he applies his skill absolutely brilliantly.
Defended once more from Gareth Berg. The score 17 for 5 from 10 overs. Looks like we will have another one. Looks like Gareth Berg wants a new bat as well. And yeah, the irony is with Ben Duckett in particular, and as you say, I know we've spoken quite a lot about a Notts player during the first couple of hours of this stream. But if you look at him now, you'd struggle to pick a better player of spin in the England setup.
Yeah.
Yet when he went off to Bangladesh, was Bangladesh he made his debut, wasn't it?
That's right.
And was one of several players that fell foul of Mahedi Hassan. As you say, it looks completely different looking at his confidence against spin now compared to that, as you say, those outward kind of outside voices that may have confused him. But anyway, Mohamed Abbas continues and starts his 6th over. Short and into the body of Luke Proctor. Plenty of questions coming in now, Phil, which...
Does one of them say, what the hell is that guy going talking about running?
No, not at all. Not at all. There's an Ashes question.
Oh.
There's a Hans exile, so another one. And Paul has responded to his email from yesterday, where he referred to Lancashire being dismantled for 33 before lunch and said, blimey, just turned on the live stream. That 33 is in danger of repeat. Which, actually, Phil, I might delete that email because I don't like the vibe behind it.
It's great. It's power, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just delete.
Yeah. The fact I've read it out loud, irrelevant, but makes me feel a bit better. But thanks, Paul, for getting in contact, and Alan as well, and Chris, who have sent emails in, who we will have a chat about, I'm sure, as this game goes on. Over 1,000 of us tuned in watching this at the moment. As Luke Proctor turns that one into the leg side. I don't think, as Luke Proctor runs past the stumps at the non-strikers end, there was any interest in a second on that one.
No, not at all. I think it was it Abbas who threw the ball in for the run out? It says so on the scoreboard.
He has spent a fair bit of time fielding down.
It would be right, wouldn't it? In terms of the position, would feel about right. And that possibly tells us why the second run was taken, because he's not renowned for his pace across the ground or his throwing arm. But crikey, he got that one right.
And Gareth Berg off the mark, turned into the leg side. Gareth had a look for a second, but Luke Proctor had his back turned to him. It was Mohamed Abbas that run Josh Cobb out, so don't sleep on Mohamed Abbas in the field.
Yeah, it was a fine piece of fielding, for sure. And it had to be inch perfect, and it absolutely was.
Yeah, 8 minutes till lunch, as we look to make up some time that we lost yesterday with the rain delays. Short again from Abbas and pulled powerfully by Luke Proctor for 4 runs. First boundary of his innings. Played that shot nicely.
Yeah, he did. It kept a little lower than he expected, and he kind of got back down to it really well. The guy who didn't enjoy that was the guy at Leg Gully, who will have seen the shape of the shot coming, thinking, "Oh, just if this is directly at me, I'm in trouble."
Short again from Mohamed Abbas.
Yeah, so that ball
And a bit of a stare, I think, back to the captain.
looks like a wasted ball, doesn't it? Actually, that's good partnership bowling. So, it looks like people might look at that and say, well, look, this ball's nipping all over the place. Why has he bowled such a high bouncer there? And the answer is to keep Gareth Berg on strike. That's when they want to bowl, possibly the last over before lunch. We might get 2 in, but certainly that ball was all about let's get out of the over with Gareth Berg on strike the next over. That's good partnership bowling. Yeah, they're so far ahead in this game. Still good thinking, still very clear thinking.
Because I was about to ask you, is Luke Proctor susceptible to the short ball? And the second that you said good partnership bowling, the penny dropped, and I thought, gotcha.
Yeah, that's just smart bowling.
Kyle Abbott to continue. Defended nicely by Gareth Berg. The two of them had a friendly conversation earlier this morning, so a good contest between the two of them. Kyle Abbott certainly winning so far today. 5 overs, 1 maiden, 3 for 8.
Yeah, I'd be interested to find out what that was all about. It had a peculiar look about it,
didn't it?
Yeah.
I said to Sam yesterday, and I know that we're in our infancy with this live stream here at Northamptonshire, but stump mics would be amazing.
That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Short from Kyle Abbott. Our effects mic is very good. It does pick up a lot more than what you may think. It picked up an awful lot of wind over the last couple of days, but you can get a little bit of an insight as to what's going on, and particularly with a larger shout, you can hear it through the headset, which is quite nice.
Well, Gareth Berg is one of the nicest guys on the circuit. He's just an absolute gent. So I wouldn't imagine that he was instigating too much.
And Gareth Berg plays that one into the leg side and picks up a single. As we said, ex-teammates probably know each other very well, and just a catch-up.
It's interesting. I mean, I just watched the body language there as was a thick inside edge shout for a single, and I thought, will they make eye contact? Will there be a wry smile? And there was nothing at all. They were both avoiding looking.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't as friendly. Earlier as we thought. But that's the least of our worries, to be honest. At 24 for 5.
Absolutely. Left alone by Luke Proctor.
Interesting watching Ben Brown take that ball. I wonder if the replay will follow it through. But this is wobble. This is if you see a mitter miss the ball completely, that's why.
Yeah. Because
you have one glove with the mitt, and you can look a bit daft sometimes. But the ball does wobble at Northampton. Certain bowlers make it wobble more than others. People who hit the seamer line, it stands up. Mohammad Azarullah was awful to mitt to.
Defended by Luke Proctor. 1 ball left in this Kyle Abbott over, so I think we will get another one before lunch. And James Fuller is having a loosen up. I don't know whether that's particularly good English or not, but he's doing what I said at mid-on. So whether James Fuller is going to have a bowl from the David Capel end, which would be the first time I think in this game that we'd see him from that end.
That'd be interesting. I don't want to say too much. I'm not sure I would do that personally. Is he coming on? It looks like he's running down there.
It certainly does, doesn't it?
I wouldn't do that. I mean, all of his success has been from the Lynn Wilson end.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to throw him off.
No, it might have been a bit of a con, because James Vince is talking to Mohammad Abbas, and looks like Mohammad Abbas is going to the end of his mark to bowl the last over before lunch. So he's done me. Well,
no. I think my take on that is that James Vince probably wanted to change the bowling.
Okay.
But on balance, didn't want to upset Abbas. And obviously after lunch, we can expect that Fuller will be on from this end pretty much straight away. So, managing your players well, and not making an enemy of a bowler when you don't need to.
Mohammad Abbas to Gareth Berg, as he leaves that one well alone and goes through to the gloves of Ben Brown.
This is where he bowls the worst over of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
All 6 balls left on 6 stump or something like that, having implored the captain to give him another over.
Sorry, James. the Northants flag from Wendell still flying proudly over to the leg side boundary. And shape into Gareth Berg, who plays that well into the leg side.
He does shape up really nicely, doesn't he, Bergie? He looks like he's got a lot of time. What's the ball now? So it's still only in its 13th over.
Yeah, still very new.
We're 5 down, which is effectively 6 down.
Yeah. Not been hit particularly hard either, has it?
No, it hasn't.
It's
No.
still going to be a very, very new looking Dukes.
It's wide on the crease
Oh,
there.
big appeal. Nothing going for that one, I don't think. That just flicked the thigh pad as that went past
Yeah, I think,
stumps.
I think so. It went very wide on the crease. Ran it in. Yeah, that's sort of back pocket, isn't it?
Yeah. Slip Corden interested, Mohammed Abbas semi-interested. And fortunately for all of us Northants fans, the umpire not interested in the slightest.
Good. I mean, you expect a wicketkeeper at this level to just catch that ball, which he did. So nothing extraordinary, but just good sort of craft. He didn't follow the angle of the ball was going down the leg side, and as a keeper, you need to hold your line for as long as you can in case that sort of thing happens.
Left alone by Gareth Berg. Yeah, we were complimenting Ben Brown yesterday. Well, more so on his batting. Very experienced. I think is he 11,500 first class runs now? If I can.
He averages about
Averages 40.
40, yeah.
9,500 first class runs, averaging 40. Very, very
over
experienced.
20 hundreds.
Yeah.
A big loss to Sussex.
Oh, huge.
And a really good signing actually for Hampshire.
Yeah, one of several players that I think Sussex have missed out on, let go, whatever the technical term is for them down at Hove. But
Yeah,
one
it's
ball left here before
been
lunch.
Interesting couple of years down there, hasn't it? With personnel on and off the field, a lot of changes. And lost their way a wee bit.
Yeah. Mohammed Abbas then to bowl the last ball before lunch. Square leg has dropped out to deep square. Whether that's an indication or just something for Gareth Berg to think about. And that is a dot ball to finish the morning session. I don't really know how you summarise that without saying that's all Hampshire. Northamptonshire following on 24 for 5, having been bowled out for 149 this morning. Some tough work ahead for Luke Proctor and Gareth Berg, and the Hampshire bowlers and fielders will be thrilled to pieces, and I'm sure that lunch will taste just a little bit better today.
Yeah, as I've said sort of all morning, Dan, all of the wickets there, apart from Ben Sanderson, who can be excused, he's number 10, all of the wickets have been got out. You know, so that's one of the things, as a coach, you kind of think, have we been soft? Have we been any soft? Any caught others, caught in the ring, big shots? No, they've all been got out by good deliveries. So the credit there immediately goes to some fine bowling. The 3 seamers we've seen this morning have all bowled brilliantly. They've all extracted movement. Both sides of the bat have been challenged, and they've just been too good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well summarised. High-class bowling from Hampshire. 24 for 5 the score, Northamptonshire following on. And Phil and I will take a break and grab some lunch of our own, and we'll see you in about 35-40 minutes time. And welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the YouTube channel for Northamptonshire County Cricket Club. The live stream brought to you, powered by Daffabet, brought to you, powered by, that's good words, isn't it? Northamptonshire versus Hampshire at Wantage Road. Northamptonshire resuming after lunch, following on from Hampshire's 482 for 8 declared, 24 for 5 the score. Captain Luke Proctor is 7 not out, joined by veteran Gareth Berg, who is 2 not out. We've seen some amazing bowling from the Hampshire bowlers in the morning session. I'm joined by Phil Rowe, former assistant coach here at Northamptonshire, and it's been a delight to chat with you this morning.
Likewise. I've actually, as a lover of cricket, you've got to look at that and say that's great bowling, and it's nice to be able to witness it firsthand. As a lover of Northants, I hated it.
Yes.
But the cricket's the winner, really, in that respect, as we've said a number of times. There was a very unfortunate run out. We might talk about that. We might not. But at every other wicket this morning, bar Ben Sanderson, who's caught at point trying to force one off the back foot through the offside, every other wicket that we've seen has actually been very, very fine bowling.
Very high quality.
And no criticism of the batter in every case, really. It's his high quality bowling.
Yeah, absolutely. James Fuller, who picked up 5 in the first innings for Hampshire, is going to bowl the first over from the Lynn Wilson centre end after lunch. Luke Proctor is on strike. And as former assistant coach here at Northamptonshire, what do Northamptonshire do now?
This is about personal pride now, isn't it? And that's all it's about. And actually, I think we've got 2 guys out there who have got plenty of that. So you just keep. I would be saying keep them out there for as long as you possibly can. Yeah, we're clearly very, very unlikely to get out of this game.
Yeah.
It's unlikely to happen. Let's not think about that. Let's think about what personal stamp can I leave on that game. Personally, I'd be wanting to say quietly to the batters, leave here with your head held high. When you walk off, let's be sure that they've got you out, that they have to drag you off here kicking and screaming.
Yep.
Bit of pride.
And lavish shape from James Fuller as that ball goes past the stumps there, and well taken by Ben Brown. No, I think you're absolutely spot on. There's plenty of cricket and plenty of time left in this day at least. The weather forecast seems to change every 5 minutes, doesn't it? So who knows what tomorrow is going to be like anyway. But there are opportunities for the Northants batters, as you say, to go out there and get a personal accolade and a milestone, and maybe kickstart the season for the next game.
Absolutely.
And that is played over the slip cordon by Luke Proctor, played deliberately, and is 4 runs, first runs of the afternoon session.
Enjoys a bit of width proc. Most around the circuit, this is a sort of a field that you find to proc quite a lot. There's 4 men on the leg side, so sort of split field. They're going to bowl quite straight at him, knowing that you don't give Luke Proctor width, and unfortunately that's probably the poorest ball that I've seen delivered by a Hampshire bowler this morning. And I'm kind of tempted to say long may it continue, but obviously I'm not going to say that.
No, there was that one, wasn't there? And there was James Fuller in the first innings that Josh Cobb cut away as Luke Proctor runs that one down past the slip cordon and picks up another 4.
That's got to meat and drink, isn't it? They're gimme balls. You've got to score off them. Well done, Proc. But yeah, it is about personal pride, and it's very old-fashioned, and it's very coachy of me, I know. But at the end of the day, these guys are professionals. Let's go out there and be as professional as we possibly can.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not a fan of what an old friend of mine used to call a dialed-in performance. They've just dialed that one in. They haven't really turned up. I think you're wearing the badge. You're being paid handsomely for your skills. Let's apply them as best you possibly can.
And left alone by Luke Proctor this time. Yeah, a lot of pride, isn't there, to be taken here. A lot of emotion for the Northants fans to leave the ground and finish watching the live stream and kind of go, oh no, there were some good moments and some positives, and I did enjoy that, rather than, as you say, a dialed-in performance, or from a fan's perspective, that was pretty awful.
I think the fans will quickly work out, who's playing for the badge and who's maybe not quite. It's a long season and people get things wrong and they make mistakes.
Yep.
So there's got to be a bit of balance to it. But over a period of time, the fans get it pretty right. And if you've played for the badge plenty of times and done the right thing and been unselfish and all of those good traits, when you have a bad trot, the crowd will give you a bit more time, you know. But the opposite is also true. They'll get on your back if they feel that you've dialed a few in. So
Yeah.
Pay it forward, really. You know, I have this saying which doesn't really exist, but about Mother Cricket.
It does now.
You know, do the right things by Mother Cricket, and you get your reward. And actually, more times than not, that does come to pass.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point, well made. Mohammed Abbas will continue from the David Capel end after lunch. See those 40 minutes, a long enough rest for Mohammed Abbas to recharge his legs and body.
Mohammed Abbas, also known as Jonty Rhodes, now after his run out.
Yeah, that's his middle name, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah. Not many people know that.
No.
Breaking news.
Bringing you fun facts on the live stream. We can't verify whether they are completely accurate or not, but
probably not.
Here he comes anyway, Mohammed Abbas, and goes past the outside edge of Gareth Berg. First up after lunch, I think. It's one innings, it's one game, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Northants played brilliantly last week, and they took the fight to Kent as well the week before at Canterbury. It's not season defining by any stretch.
It's not. And what you don't want to do is just kind of put it in the drawer and say, "Oh, we'll move on." You can't really afford to dwell on it. I think Northants have a week off.
They do,
which is kind of unfortunate in some ways because you want to get back on the horse as quickly as you can. But from a coaching perspective, you know, you've got to sit down and this for me, this is a very brief debrief. You know, we don't want to. This isn't lock the doors. We're going to have a barnstorm for the next 45 minutes and make everyone feel terrible, and then have a week off. That's a pretty bad decision, I would have thought.
Yeah.
This is about. Let's be clear. Let's be accurate on what happened and how it happened. Very, very crisply. No blame attached. Particularly, we've been out bowled and out caught, and there's a couple of very good innings in the Hampshire innings, Gubbins and Vince in particular. Let's make note of those, and then let's go away, and then we draw a line under the performance.
Yeah, that's a positive shot by Gareth Berg as well. I think the other benefit, as Saif mentioned yesterday on stream with regards to that week off in the middle, and we spoke about the replacement for Lance Morris, it does give the club and the coaches a little bit more breathing space in order to spend a bit more time identifying maybe the right person to bring in as a replacement, rather than potentially panic and kind of go, oh, we desperately need someone for Thursday.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. It's nice to have that few days buffer just to get it right. Oh, that's nicely timed.
Off the back foot this time from Gareth Berg. Past point and picks up a couple of runs. Had a couple more emails over lunch, one from Stephen Nye, who I believe hails from Luxembourg, and it says, I can only echo the comments of my fellow Hampshire fan a few minutes ago and congratulate you on an excellent stream. Well above par camera work and commentary, a credit to your club. I've lived and worked in Luxembourg for over 30 years, so not an interrail stop-off in my case. All the best, Stephen. We'll talk about your interrailing in a bit, Phil.
Yes, got that to come.
Short from Mohammed Abbas, and Gareth Berg pulls that one into the leg side and picks up a single. Do you see yourself stopping off in Berlin and tuning into the county live stream for a day?
I've got a feeling there might be some live streaming going on during the trip overall. I'm sure there will be, to be honest. Who knows where, though? The trip is planned to some degree, but it's also sort of open to quite a degree as well. So I'm not sure we're going to hit Germany, but we will be France, Spain, Italy, Switzerland and Austria.
Played nicely by Luke
That's
Proctor.
a good run.
It is indeed. When sounds like you've got a lovely trip planned ahead of you as well.
Hopefully, yeah. It'll be nice to get away. But I'm sure people don't want to hear about my interrailing.
No, we don't have to talk anymore about it.
I mean, happy to.
Yeah, of course. maybe when you come back afterwards and we can talk about the stories.
Slideshow.
No, that sounds amazing.
In the Spencer. Yeah.
We can get that, and I'm sure
fish and chip supper.
Yeah, and I'm sure our producer and Alex as well can factor that into the live stream. And that could be our lunchtime entertainment in one of the games.
This is one of me with the leaning therapy.
Are you going to do the pose where it looks like you're holding it up?
How juvenile do you think I am? Of course I am. No question.
James Fuller, defended by Luke Proctor.
what you might call loosener overs, really. Particularly the Abbas one was a little bit gentle, if I could put it that way, just easing himself back in.
Yeah, I think that's fair, isn't it? Obviously I don't know. I mean, in this situation, could Hampshire let the game drift a little bit, thinking that?
I don't think they will. I don't think so.
No, I don't know whether a team might think, well, the job's done. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that is a danger. No, I think that is a real danger. And I know in my time, sort of on my watch, certainly, Rips and I would worry about the first session of the second day if we'd had a really good first day. That can be undone pretty quickly in 2 hours of cricket. And it came to be something that we really had to focus on, was getting the guys in the right mindset. But when we're on top, really pushing ahead.
Full from James Fuller, and Luke Proctor plays that nicely out to point for another single.
So I think, yes, it's human nature to some degree, but I think when I look at the Hampshire side, they've got enough experience and the right experience. They've got winners. They've got people who are used to winning cricket matches, getting to the later stages of tournaments and so on. So, the ability to win, in terms of the skill to win, is one thing. The mindset to win is something else. And I think they've got enough with both of those things. So I don't see that. That said, Northampton will play well for some time. That's going to happen.
Yeah,
it's the nature of swings and roundabouts. And if they put a couple of those spells together.
Short this time and swing. It has been quite strange, isn't it, that short ball from James Fuller, particularly the outside the off stump there. It's not particularly, well, it hasn't carried at all, has it, through to Ben Brown at all, and then has somehow managed to pick up a bit of swing as well.
I'm just going to watch the replay here. So it goes there. Wow, that went huge, isn't it?
It's like a banana.
Yeah. So the ball, the keepers call it standing up. When the ball stands up, they can see it. The guys with young eyes like them, and they'll see it standing up. Oh no, because they don't know which way it's going to go.
Yeah.
It also sometimes goes up and down as well.
Short again.
Well played.
And well played by Gareth Berg, who picks up a boundary down towards deep third. Well fielded by the man in the red cap on the bench.
It was, wasn't it?
One-handed pickup.
Nonchalant.
Yeah.
I've been practicing my French. Nonchalant.
For the interrailing.
Yeah. I have actually been practicing my French for a long time.
2 soft drinks, please, I think is that's the basics, isn't it?
That's not French, that was English.
No, but the equivalent. I don't know what the French is for it.
I thought you were testing me.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Swing again from James Fuller. End of the over. 41 for 5.
Yeah, and again, we'll take it where it's on offer. There's been 3 overs since the resumption, and they haven't equalled the quality of what we saw beforehand. So perhaps easing back in. Who knows? But the Northampton batters will be pleased to see it. No question.
Kyle Abbott, obviously mid-30s now, and bowled so well from the Lynn Wilson centre end before lunch. Potentially a little bit of a surprise not to see him bowl again after lunch, after that 40-minute break.
Yeah, I thought he might start at the far end. It was always likely that Fuller, I think, would start this end. That would be my go-to. Abbas is keen, isn't he?
Yes.
Is he on a wicket bonus, do you think? He's
well, I mean, he's earning plenty of cash if he's on wicket bonuses at Hampshire.
He is. He's only got 1 so far in this innings. But he's hungry to bowl, isn't he? And that's a great thing from the overseas.
And shape from the hand away from the bat of Luke Proctor.
Historically, the game's changed, but historically, and it is to some extent still the case, that the overseas fast bowler will sort of pick and choose, and they'll bowl in spells. And he's on now, he wants to do it now. And sometimes, as a captain, they're looking at the overseas bowler, and he's looking at his shoes and doing anything apart from thinking that he wants to bowl. Whereas Abbas has bowled, it's into his 9th over now, straight back out after lunch, and he wants to bowl. It's a great sign.
Shape into Luke Proctor. He turns that one into the leg side for a single. Yeah, he's only got the 18 wickets so far this year, an average of 15.
Wow, what bowled?
I think he's got 2 6-fers so far. One against Notts and one against Surrey. High quality cricketer.
And he wants to get people out, doesn't he? You see when a ball goes into a gap, he's kind of cross with the fielder. There was clearly a single there between 2 fielders. He wasn't happy with that, and that's a great mentality as a bowler.
particularly when you field as well as Mohammed Abbas.
He sets the tone, doesn't he?
Played nicely.
That's good cricket, that.
Yeah, played nicely by Gareth Berg. Start of the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy today as well. Phil, Sunrisers, I believe, are the local team.
Yes.
288 for 7 off their 50 overs against the Vipers down at Southampton.
Okay.
Good start to the year.
Sounds like a good number, that. Where is that? Is that on the nursery ground at
no,
GS?
that is on the full,
Is it?
full
Oh,
ground.
how nice.
Grace Scriven 67, Jodie Grucock 69. And that is a cracking shot by Gareth Berg. Worked through mid-wicket, and he picks up another 4 in his innings so far today. Maddie Villiers got 70 as well, and then Eva Gray at the end got 25 or 14 balls. So,
Oh, well played.
good start for the Sunrisers girls. Is that a team that you follow quite closely, Phil? Or
I can't say it is.
no,
Not particularly.
been
No,
impressed with the growth of women's cricket in the UK over the last couple of years.
I session with Northamptonshire Stilettos, as they were then called, and really enjoyed that.
Oh,
Wow, that's
what a
misbehaved.
delivery that is! Is that on the elbow?
I think it might well be elbow onto thigh, so double bubble. So look at it.
That's sore, isn't it?
Oof, well bowled.
That is sore. No, I think the growth of the women's game in England over the last even 2 years, 1 year. I think most sides now have got at least 10 professional contracts, and I think the Vipers are into the 12s, 13s. I
Okay.
think now. And a bit of a wide one and a bit of a waft from Gareth Berg, but no harm done. And 46 for 5. An amazing kind of growth in that area for the game, and something that I've absolutely no doubt whatsoever will continue to grow and improve and flourish as well.
I think that the game has found it difficult to grow, hasn't it? In the men's game, there's a lot of drop off between youth cricket and adult cricket. It's a huge. So the women's game is a growth area. It will bring obviously more women into playing cricket. That's clear and that's working. But I think it's also bringing families to cricket, and there are brothers in families, and so it will grow the game overall, I think, in time.
Oh, big swing from James Fuller, and that is clean bowled. Luke Proctor, the Northants captain, goes for 18. Big movement again from the big Hampshire bowler. Wow.
Yeah, he's hooped one back through the gate there, hasn't he?
Yeah, that looked like that was almost middle and leg, I think.
Yeah,
that swung
it went
back
late,
into.
didn't it? It went late and big.
Could even have been leg stomp.
Yeah, the ball started as it was released from round the wicket. The ball started on about 7th stump, I think, 6th, 7th stump.
It was really wide.
It was really wide, very full again, and that's been a common factor, and swung back prodigiously very late.
Yeah.
There was some pilot error in that. I think another day, Proc will have covered up and not necessarily missed that one. Today he was early into the decision that it's full enough. I'm going to drive it back down the ground. It's not a strong area for him. Straight plays more actually square of the wicket both sides. That one just too good. It's a little bit casual, I think, in terms of execution from the skipper. But again, a very, very fine delivery.
Yeah, very good bit of bowling. New batter for Northants is Chris Tremaine. The last time I suspect that we will see Chris Tremaine walking out onto the field here at Northants, at least in this 3-match spell. I don't know what opportunities there are with regards to coming back. I think visas are very complicated, and I don't profess to understand how they work.
I don't think anyone understands it. You just put the application in and cross your fingers. I
think that's the impression I've had so far.
There's probably more to it than that. But there have been cases where it's been mistakes have been made. Well, we won't be the only ones who have made mistakes.
No,
by any means.
Well, hopefully we can find a loophole. But anyway, here he is, 46 for 6.
Which is effectively 7.
Which is, as you say, effectively 7. And James Fuller, high on confidence, on his way to bowl to Chris Tremaine. And he sends that one a long way down the leg side. I suppose, having seen the last one, expecting that one to kind of swing back, and that would have been an almighty delivery if that had gone past the off stump, though.
Well, we're seeing a bowler, a talented, skillful bowler who's got so much confidence, and he's trying many different things and executed most of them. So there's a real bag of tricks coming down. I don't think Chris Tremaine's going to hang around. If he gets one he can put his hands through, I think he might choose to do that.
Yeah, I think that's probably a sensible move at this stage, as he gets himself off the mark and plays that nicely in the gap at backward point, and will settle for a single. Again, another email come in, this time from Nick, as a Northants fan from North Wales. Thanks for the great coverage. And this might start inflating the heads of us two here, but the best of all 18 counties that I've seen. Disappointing from Northants, but against the class all-round Hampshire side, better games to come. Keep up the good work. And it's not just us on the commentary side of it. There's a lot of good people behind the scenes. That's defended. I felt so sorry for Ben, our cameraman, over the last few days in these last couple of games. He's I think in the first game against Middlesex it was cold, but he somehow managed to get sunburn as well.
Ouch.
I don't know how he's done that, but he's soldiered through, and as I say, producer George as well, switching up between the cameras when's needed, as well as obviously Alex making all the magic happen. So thank you for your email again.
Well played. Got a little golf trip coming up when I get back from my interrailing to North Wales. Might meet up with Nick. Yeah, we're playing North Wales Golf Club, actually, one of the courses we're playing.
Well, I've got an email address if you want to
forward it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From previous work, I don't know where that sits with GDPR and things like that, but
you'll probably get arrested or something.
Probably.
I thought.
probably not worth it for your golf trip then. That doesn't sound like.
Probably not.
No.
I will not be covering illegal expenses.
James Fuller. Shape away from Gareth Berg, who plays that one into the offside. Yeah, I suppose for these two guys now it is almost a case of play a natural way and see what happens, I suppose. Yeah,
what you don't want to see is them absolutely throwing it away. They don't get any time for that at all, to be honest with you. But if they make an error playing aggressively, then you're going to forgive that. The game is gone, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
But you don't want to see it thrown away.
No, as you said, there's opportunity out here. There's pride. There's still pride at stake. There's still a lot to be learnt from individuals, isn't there?
Well, I think there is. And going back into the changing room, you want to be able to hold your head up, don't you, and say to the other guys, well, not say it, but communicate through your action. In the middle. I've done the right thing for the team there. I've done the best I can do.
As Mohammed Abbas continues once again, and that is Gareth Berg. Caught at second slip by Liam Dawson, I believe, off the bowling of Mohammed Abbas. And that is his 19th wicket of this campaign. A good catch.
Tighter into the stumps,
Bit of a push at it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, that's the difference between a top order batter and a kind of lower middle order batter. A top order batter doesn't twitch at that ball, just lets it go by.
Yeah.
It was back of a length, wasn't it? But it's still in that kind of dangerous length. The line in that respect isn't as dangerous as the length. The length is still a dangerous length, and he twitched at it. When I say twitched it, if he makes contact with that ball, doesn't get anything for it. So there's no reason to play at it. There's only one winner there. Gotcha. Yeah, and it wasn't Gareth Berg. And you don't see Liam Dawson drop many catches either over the years.
No, he's had quite a quiet game so far, hasn't he? Had a couple of overs last night when the light got too bad for the seamers to bowl. I don't recall many being caught at second slip throughout the course of this game so far for Hampshire, and he scored a handful of runs at the end of their innings as well. So a good player not to have done much so far, but
a handy cricketer, isn't he? He can do so many different things. Talked earlier about a professional batsman being able to play a variety of innings, the innings that's appropriate to the surface and the game and the conditions and so on. And kind of Liam Dawson is the perfect county cricketer in that respect. I know he's obviously got international honours as well, quite rightly so. But he can do a number of jobs. He's batted up the order, he's batted down the order. He can be aggressive. He can consolidate with someone who's in. He can farm the bowling with the tail. Yeah, I could go on. He can do a number of things.
No, I think you're right. A very, very good cricketer. And Ben Sanderson, the new man for Northamptonshire, 48 for 7, as we've said a couple of times, which essentially turns that into 48 for 7, turns it into 48 for 8, as Lewis McManus retired hurt overnight and did not bat in the first innings, and everything points and suggests that he obviously won't be batting in the second either. But Ben Sanderson on strike and Mohammed Abbas on his way. And safely through to Ben Brown.
That's the most polite piece of commentary. Yeah, did you find it difficult to describe, Wade?
I did.
Yeah.
I sought safety and safely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm going to back you up. Yeah, that's what happened. You missed it. It was a big swing of the bat.
Expansive first
Flourish.
up, wasn't it? Yeah.
Zorro-like.
That's one of those, you take the picture of it and it looks good when you crop it down into your
That's right.
social media picture. And then you expand it out and you've missed it by 3 foot.
There's a stump on the floor.
Yeah. Straighter from Mohammed Abbas that time, who has a little bit of a stare to Ben Sanderson as he walks back to his mark.
Something I talk to young guys about oftentimes is accuracy in bowling. It's not sexy, is it? You know, everyone wants to bowl the reverse and the back of the hander and the split knuckle and all of those. There's obviously a time and a place for all of that.
Yeah.
But something that the most successful bowlers over a period of time have in common, actually they have very little in common. It's going wide of the crease again.
And a feather through. Ben Sanderson is caught behind. Walking this time does not, or not this time, but walking does not require the umpire to give him out. And that is essentially 9 down now for Northamptonshire. Mohammed Abbas picks up another one.
Sort of a nothing delivery, really, that. We haven't been able to say that very often. It was wide of the crease, it was back of a length, and it just nicked it. It was a ball you could score off. I mean, what was Ben Sanderson's about his 4th ball or something like that, 3rd ball. Probably a little bit early to go for that shot. But again, that's why that's at number 10, because of decision-making like that.
Contextually, can't really leave much blame at the door of Ben Sanderson.
Absolutely zero.
At all.
Yeah, what I was sort of talking about there was what do the best wicket takers in the world, or in the county or in the country or wherever, what do they have in common? And the answer to that is they have very little in common. Yeah, you've got guys at 6'7", guys at 5'6", swing bowlers seen, and all the rest of it. The only thing they've got in common is that they're all accurate. And that's underrated, I think. And Mohammed, the fact that today is an object lesson in accuracy. Yes, these guys have got tremendous skills, but they're all accurate. Yeah. If they were not accurate, they probably wouldn't be in this game. So as a youngster, I'm not asking you to slow down, but I'm asking you to be accurate.
Yeah.
And from there, then you can build.
Yeah. Jack White, the new batter, on the last batter for Northants now. 2 wickets in this over so far for Mohammed Abbas. I think that was his 20th of the campaign. Now that's exciting to hear, particularly from someone that has and is coaching youngsters as well. You kind of start hearing rumours of coaches going, well, if you just slow down a touch, then you get a bit more. And if you don't turn it quite as much, then we might be able to. It's kind of like, no, do the exciting bit, and then let's figure the other stuff out afterwards. Correct. Mohammed Abbas, and half an appeal from the slip cordon.
Yeah, absolutely. I should perhaps just follow that up. I think that's a very good point, Dan. You know, if someone's bowling fast and it's going all over the place, don't ask them to slow down. Just work harder as a coach to ask to get them to bowl accurately, or more accurately. But and again, if someone can spin it, prodigiously, don't ask them to bowl flatter and not spin it so much, because it's a rare talent to spin the ball hard. It's a rare talent to bowl fast. And the job of the coach then is to harness what they've got more consistently.
Mohammed Abbas with his last ball of the over. And 3 to Ben Brown. That is a double wicket maiden for Mohammed Abbas.
The end is nigh, isn't it?
It's certainly, the writing is very much on the wall here at Wantage Road. There is a really interesting question about the Ashes from Chris, but I don't necessarily know whether we're going to have a great deal of time to talk about it. In short, I don't know whether you can give us a short response to this, but he's an Hampshire fan as well. I'm very pleased with the performance. And here's the little question. With the Ashes coming up this summer, should the ECB ban Australian players from getting used to the conditions in the County Championship? Would a ban be seen as dirty tricks, and what is your views? That's from Chris in Portsmouth. Obviously, there's Steve Smith at Sussex, Marnus at Glamorgan, Chris Tremaine here, Lance Morris here, Sean Abbott at Surrey, Cam Bancroft at Somerset, Matt Kuhneman at Durham, I think, and I'm probably missing Pete Hanscom at Leicestershire, I think, as well.
That's right. I think my short answer, I haven't given. It's something I'd like to kind of debate with other people, really, because my instinct is to say no, they shouldn't be banned, because this is county cricket's a product. Getting the best players in the world over to be part of our product is good for the game. There will be some learning, some knowledge transfer, if you like, going on within those counties as well. So a rising tide lifts all boats, and that's kind of my entry to that conversation. But there'll be different views, and I'd be very welcome to hear them. Are we building the capability of the team we're then going to face in the Ashes? They're good cricketers anyway, aren't they? I mean, yes, we're giving them match practice in English conditions. Some of them, by no means are all those going to play, obviously. Not suggesting that you were saying that. You weren't saying that. So I think there's a stronger argument to say, no, let's crack on as we are than to do anything too differently. But it'd be interesting to see.
Or down by Tom Prest at third. A terrific effort to get there.
It was a good effort. It was a good effort. I'm wondering whether he went with one hand very early, I think. Let's watch the replay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So he went with one hand very early, and he got a good hand on it. But actually, what you'll find, if you go with two hands initially, and then if you can't get two, you extend the second, you get a better reach. So again, it's a decision. Go with two early, and then it might have stuck. I thought it was going to stick. He got a good mitt on it.
He did. Short this time from James Fuller, and Chris Tremaine just about the fades. He's a wicketkeeper by trade, isn't he, Tom Preston?
He is, that's right.
A very talented young lad. I had the pleasure of working with him a bit last summer. Really, really nice guy. And unfortunately for him, a game to forget here at Wantage Road. Got a bit of a stinker with the ball that didn't really bounce in the first innings, and I think that might be at least his second, if not third, drop at third slip as well. Okay. So Chris Tremaine puts that one into the offside, and I think that is going to be 4 runs, isn't it? Nick Gubbins.
That was a pretty ordinary.
Not that interested in.
It was a pretty ordinary chase, wasn't it? Can I say that?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, that was more like a Ford Escort.
I think that was the penultimate ball of the over, wasn't it? And maybe Nick Gubbins thought, well, if they're only going to take one and I drag it back,
that's clever.
I'll let it go.
I like that. He's ahead of me there. Well done, Nick Gubbins. Nick Gubbins won. Phil Rowe nil.
James Fuller then, the last ball to Chris Tremaine, who will be looking for this single. And it looked like he ran that off the face of the bat, but obviously no bat involved. Under the over, which means Jack White will be on strike to who I suspect will be Mohammed Abbas as he's taking his jumper off. Yeah, he will not be taking the ball out of his hands.
You need a cricket ball-shaped spanner to get the ball to get the ball off Mohammed Abbas. What's your view on that on the Ashes, Dan?
Thank you for asking me, for starters. I like it. I've been quite critical about it in the past, and I think my criticism has come because it isn't reciprocated. Now, I don't know whether that's because other boards aren't welcoming, or whether the England schedules don't permit such kind of opportunities. So in an ideal world, a utopia, which clearly doesn't exist, but ahead of the Ashes, I would love to be talking about Joe Root going out to play for New South Wales for a couple of games, and Ben Stokes playing for Western Australia, and if we tour India, for Ben Folks to play some cricket for one of the first class sides there. That's the only really thing I would like in a as I say, in a utopia from a cricket fan's perspective. But talking to some of the lads up here in the stream and a few other guys that I've spoken to, the players love it. Yeah, absolutely love rubbing shoulders with some of these guys, and exchanging knowledge and getting to know people and sharing cultures and things like it. It does only make the game better, I think.
It makes the game of county cricket better overall. I mean, the guys you've mentioned there, I mean, for obvious reasons, the guys that you've mentioned are international cricketers. Yes. That's what we were talking about. And so long as we're talking about international cricketers, people who have either current or recent past international cricketers, then it does improve the quality of our product, and they leave a legacy behind them as well with the stuff they leave behind, the good stuff, the good professionalism and knowledge that they leave behind. Where I do have a problem is where there are guys who are kind of coming over for their pension, really.
Yep, fair enough. Taking an opportunity away from a youngster.
Exactly, they're blocking people. That's not so smart.
No. As Mohammed Abbas comes into Chris Tremaine, and an on drive this time. Kyle Abbott puts up a very, very laboured chase there as the ball, well, just about had enough forward momentum to climb over the boundary rope, and Chris Tremaine picks up another 4. I think with regards to that as well, when you think about the county championship, and obviously some amazing English players that have played in this competition as well, but some of the most famous moments and some of the biggest names that we talk about, and there was an email that came in from Alan Groves earlier today, said he's enjoying the stream, but he's already started talking about Barry Richards and Gordon Greenwich at Hampshire, Shane Warne again at Hampshire.
Yeah.
And that has cut Chris Tremaine in half. Jason Holder here of recent years.
It was great, Jace.
There's some amazing names that have created some incredible moments.
Curtly Ambrose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it would be a terrible shame if there weren't opportunities for those absolute superstars to come over and play.
Absolutely. But I think, the point, I finally got around to a decent point on this thing, which is it's about the quality of who comes over. If we're talking about guys who have played a couple of games for South Africa 14 years ago, then that's just blocking someone, and that's not good for our product. But top internationals.
And walloped by Chris Tremaine, almost off the back foot, wasn't it? I think that one.
Yeah, it was.
I don't even think that's going to go to the boundary. So Chris Tremaine has picked up his, a rather expansive single there to give Jack White a couple of balls left of this Mohammed Abbas over.
No, you're right, and it does. Yeah, it's good for fans too. They want to see. Of course, they want to see the local guys do well. Of course, they do. But a top draw international, it brings the crowds in. And it is. At the end of the day, I think I used the word earlier. It is a product. This is competing for people's attention and ticket money as much as anything else is. Jack White.
What a shot!
There he is.
Shot that was.
He's the 19-year-old lad that I let get away from me. Right there. I did try to find him. I did. He was a difficult man to find.
Yeah.
Jack. He's different. The lads in the changing room will tell you he's different.
I've not had the pleasure of having a chat with him yet, but I have heard plenty of inside information with regards to Jack.
We played a second team game at Kidderminster. Really good game of cricket, actually. 3-day game down there, and Jack came in about number 10 in the second team, and we needed about 40 to win. So we're at 8 down. There's a batter in at the time.
Opens up the offside, and James Fuller sees that movement and gets that right up in the block hole of Chris Tremaine.
So they meet in the middle and punch gloves, and the batter who's in says to Jack, "Just get me on strike. I'll nurse you around. We can get over the line here." And Jack said, "I'm taking 30 off this next over from the off spinner." And he hit him into the railway 3 times.
Wow.
I think he got 22 off the over, and we won the game.
And again opens up that offside and turns down the signal. Did very well to get that ball down to
he did very well.
Down to deep third, didn't he?
If that's a spot the ball competition, no one's going there, are they?
No. I had an email come in from Kieran in Sheffield just to say it's the first time he's ever tuned into a county cricket match. Only ever watched internationals before this, and usually the shorter format. New to following cricket,
and it's the last time he's going to do it as well. That's not what he says, is it?
No, it's not.
No.
Very new. Played in school. Want to echo everybody else and say that I'll be tuning in again.
Oh.
So we've got a new Northants fan in Kieran.
Come on.
Again, it's great to see new fans and new eyes coming in on this sport that we obviously all love.
It's been great. Live stream's been great, hasn't it, for county cricket? You probably know a lot more about that.
Oh,
He's done it again. You know a lot more about that, Dan, in terms of the reach of this thing, I think. But it from from where I sit, which is now outside the game, happily retired, but it seems to have been a real boon, the ability to watch the game from wherever you are.
Yeah, it's hard to look back at COVID and cling on to any positives, isn't it? But the advancement and the invention almost of these county live streams is certainly one of those, and has brought a lot more eyes onto the game than what there was before. It's made it an even more international spectacle than what it was. We had an email from Chris Tremaine's uncle, who was Jack White.
Jack White.
What a shot!
Jack White or Jack Hobbs?
Hobbs, definitely Hobbs. What a shot! He's so confident. He's kept the strike there as well. Shot through the cover, picks up 2. So yeah, and obviously the counties have seen the numbers, and they've seen the benefits that are available to them as counties, and a lot, including Northants, are obviously starting to invest in the production as well. Oh, Shape opening up the offside this time.
That's a quizzical look.
It was, wasn't it?
A quizzical look from James Fuller. He's kind of thinking, that was the last ball of the over, wasn't it? And you are trying to, and your job is to let Chris Tremaine remain on strike, and you have just done that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I just want to be clear on that. It's like I can read his mind. He knows he's got his back to me. He's 90 metres away. What did I just see there? Okay. That's the uniqueness of Jack White right there.
Do you reckon Chris Tremaine's just said in his thickest Australian accent, just calm down, or?
I think those words would have been, mate, calm down, mate. But yeah, otherwise, bang on, yeah.
But yeah, going back to the live streams, that they have been brilliant, and I think they have generated an awful lot more interest in the county championship than what there was 4 or 5 years ago. Short from a bass, and probably reached a new audience as well.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. No, it's been wonderful actually. It's great for the game. I mean, who knew? Who could have predicted? Put little old county cricket, red ball cricket in decline, and it's the end of it, and it's got another 5 years, and we need to reduce the counties and so on, and it's damaging for the quality of the England team and so on. 2.5 years down the road, it's a very different picture, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's great to see.
It's a very good product. Not that it wasn't before, but and crunched this time over and into the offside by Chris Tremaine. Is that going to go for 4, or are they going to fetch that one back? They have indeed fetched that one back, and Chris Tremaine will settle for 2 more. The score now into the 60s. The last partnership for Northamptonshire. Bit of a shout there from one of the Hampshire fielders saying switch on.
Yeah, that's a good shout. It's probably not the coolest shout, that at 61 for 8 stroke 9, but I like it. I actually like that.
And there we go. Switched on. Mohammed Abbas, York, Chris Tremaine, middle stump, full pint, all out. Northamptonshire for 63. Hampshire resounded victors in this game. Win by an innings and 270 runs. Hard to really summarise that from a Northamptonshire perspective.
Yeah,
Phil?
it's let's give it a go. I wasn't here for the whole game, but from talking to people who have been and catching up with highlights on the live stream and so on, as best I've been able to, Northampton won the toss and bowled. Now looks a poor decision. I don't think it was a poor decision. I think it was a good decision. The wicket has offered movement throughout. The Hampshire bowlers have exploited that movement brilliantly. They've, for the most part, they've held their chances, and they've probably got more depth in their bowling attack and more experience, and it is a slightly higher quality bowling attack than Northants. That said, I thought Northants bowled pretty well when they opened the game, and dropped numerous chances. I think 4.5 chances from what I hear went down, including dropping the captain on 25 and then posted 180 plus. So overall, the better team has won the game, no question at all. you could play that game a number of times and you wouldn't get anywhere near this particular outcome. But on these 3 days, then Hampshire have proven too strong in both departments.
Yeah, as you say, a very, very professional performance by Hampshire here at Wantage Road as the players walk off the field and do the obligatory handshakes. A good bowling performance, I think, ultimately by Northants on that first day, which went unrewarded. And as you said, Hampshire punished the misfortune and the poor fielding that they were offered at that point.
There'd be one point, I don't know whether we've got time, Dan.
We've got plenty of time.
One point where I felt Northants didn't quite get it right was the start of day 2, when in the first session Prest was on 5, not out overnight, or 2 or 3 not out overnight actually. And the captain, Vince, was about 106 or something, not out overnight, and out they come, and it was overcast and it was a delayed start, and there had been a lot of movement around, as we know, and the ball was about 16, 17 overs old, something like that, certainly under 20 overs old. And at that point, Northants were very defensive when bowling at Vince. The job seemed to be, had 4 men out, at times to Vince. In fact, almost 4 from the start, 4 boundary fielders from the start. And Vince just got himself in, was tucking it around. He's been around now. He applies himself. He's not going to try and break the field at that point. He said, I'll get myself in then. If you're going to stop me hitting 4s, I'll hit singles and I'll get myself in. And he did that and went on in kind of 2nd and 3rd gear to get a very big 100, which made the game very difficult from Northants. I would have liked at that point to see Northants put more pressure on, keep more men in, keep more catches in, and hold their nerve a little bit, where there was still quite a lot of movement around. And I think we gave the initiative away at that point. That doesn't mean that was where we lost the game, but I felt any chance we had of winning the game was by making inroads in that second morning, and we didn't do that. We gave the advantage away a little bit, and Vince played very intelligently, well supported by Ben Brown as well when he came in, and then they posted a number that was unassailable. So I think with hindsight, I would pick that out. It'd be a quiet conversation with Luke Proctor and maybe a couple of the bowling unit to say, let's look at that. What were you thinking there? Can we learn anything from that? Would you do the same again? Just, you don't want to get too silly about it. It's early in the season, keep people's motivation high. But I think there's perhaps a learning there. On this pitch, it's difficult to start. We've seen that, numerous low scores. And he was starting again. The fact that he got 100 was irrelevant, really, for starting again second morning. So that would be something from a, I'm looking for things to look at, really, but I would suggest that's something that could be looked at. Yeah,
a very good and valid point, and as you say, hopefully a learning opportunity for Northants going forward. As you can see there on screen, 63 all out without Lewis McManus batting in just the 22.5 overs. 3 bowlers used for Hampshire. Mohammed Abbas picking up 4. Kyle Abbott, I would say, would be the pick of the bowlers in this second innings anyway. James Fuller obviously bowled tremendously well earlier on this morning with 3 for 9, and James Fuller with 1 more this afternoon. Week off next week for Northamptonshire, and they return to county championship action at Taunton on the 4th of May against Somerset, and we'll be looking, as you said, to right some of the wrongs that we've seen over the last couple of days. And hats off to Hampshire. A very, very good performance. Again, Hampshire have got a week off next week as well. They return at Southampton on the 4th of May against Warwickshire as well. This stream powered by Daffabet here on the Northamptonshire County Cricket Club YouTube channel. Thank you so much to everybody that has joined us over the previous 3 days. It's been thoroughly enjoyable with Sam and with obviously Phil today as well. You've provided some amazing insight into this game and into the team.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Dan.
No, honestly, thank you. You're welcome back anytime. And the last thing to say is thank you very much, and we'll see you in a few weeks.